Good to see you, everyone. My name is Robbie Howell, and welcome to yet another fantastic Enclave actual play featuring three great players. Each of you, if you wouldn't mind, give us a brief introduction to yourselves, and then we're going to go back around through and hear about your characters. Fire away, Ari.
Okay, my name is Ari Tower. A lot of times you'll hear Ari because I just respond to both.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been playing Enclave since when did Enclave get released? Was it last year?
Last September,
November?
yeah.
Last September. Jesus, wow. That's I didn't realize we've been playing for that long. But yeah, I've been playing for that long. It's really nice. I like the fact there are no dice. Dice are annoying. I tried to do another system with dice. I played it once. I was like, nope, no dice for me. So, as for the character,
we'll do characters in a moment. But thank you very much. No problem at all, man. Thank you so much for the introduction and for the kind words. Next up.
Hi, I'm Alex, also known as Xela. I've been playing Enclave for about a month when my mom and brother found it at a convention with Robbie, and we're like, oh, we have to get this for Alex. This will be entirely her thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And we are delighted that you have found us. And lastly.
My name is David Torres, also known as Detour. And I've been playing Enclave for about a year now, and it's one of my favorite things to do, so I'm still doing it.
You're a good fellow. We've had Detour on a bunch of missions, but for Ari and Xela, this is going to be their first time on an recorded actual play. And I'm delighted to say I have something pretty cool in store for them. The focus words I was given were Ragman, Ragnarök Bomb, and World's End, which are like the most coherent focus words I've gotten in a very long time. And the characters we are going to be seeing on this mission will be as follows. Again, like a 30-second introduction to your characters in the same order you introduce yourselves. Ari, take it away.
Okay, I will try. Character's name is Wraith. He is a librarian who's been reincarnated a bunch of times, and this time it messed up, so his memories are kind of jumbled. So yeah, that's his whole shtick. And he's really, really, really smart because he's been reincarnated. So, yeah.
Nice. Your mic sometimes is a little flaky, so if you wouldn't mind facing close to it when you're talking, that would be awesome. Just because sometimes it goes back and forth.
Okay, this might be better.
I think I got most of it. Don't feel like you have to go all the way up into it. Just when you turn away, I have more trouble hearing.
Okay.
Next up.
Hi, I'm going to be playing Olivia. She is a wanderer who backpacked all throughout the Manifold after getting her degree as an art teacher. She is in her mid-30s and is a big old flirt and likes to use what she has to get her way. And kind of grew up doing what she can to get by in the world, and that's kind of her motto.
Indeed. And lastly.
Yep, so I'll be playing Crow, who is a gunslinger from a Weird West sort of background. Played him a couple times on these actual plays, but he does have this nifty coin that he calls Bad Penny that he'll be doing fun stuff with.
Yes, he certainly will. And here is the mission that I have ready for this motley crew. You guys are going to be sent to an airbase that is absolutely filled with soldiers and civilians and refugees who are preparing for the end of the world. In this part of the world, they have a polytheistic pantheon, despite being entirely modern. Part of their culture is the preparation for this foretold end of the world, which they've known has been coming for a long time. And as you might know from Norse, like comparable to Norse mythology, whenever one of their soldiers has died over the years, if they died valiantly, they are actually prepared to fight again in the end of the world. And it is at this point that you guys will be entering this place, when all of the warriors from bygone days of this society are being not reincarnated, but kind of brought back to Earth to fight in this great final battle of their society. Now, the name of these reincarnated warriors are Anverstad, So if you ever hear the word Anverstad, that is what is being discussed, and a reincarnated warrior. You are being sent to this airbase, which is full of, like I said, civilians, soldiers, refugees, and Anverstad alike, to assist a young woman named Hillis. Her sweetheart died in war quite recently, and he died from this airbase. And it has been noted by the society that the reincarnated soldiers are returning to the bases that they had been posted at when they died. She is trying to find her reincarnated lover before the end of the world. However, the end of the world is starting as we speak. The first skirmishes between the reincarnated and mortal armies of this realm are beginning to take place with their immortal enemies that have been foretold throughout all of the days of their religion. Built into their holy text is this deep, profound enemy. And the first fighting between these two factions is already starting to take place. So this airbase is currently under attack by, skirmishes in the grand scheme of things, but still a pretty frightening force, with substantial combat being held on both sides, and refugees and civilians alike being caught in the crossfire. As such, her finding her bow has proven more than a little difficult, not to mention hazardous. However, she has a bit of a lead. Recently, just before the end of the world started, they call the end of the world the ground break, by the way. So just before the ground break began, a group of unusual people kind of appeared within the realm. These people are constantly wearing enormous amounts of clothing, but more like cloth scraps that are just kind of layered on like a bagworm. They don't really introduce themselves, but they seem completely harmless. And they are mostly known by the local populace as shawlmen, because they tend to want to buy clothing off of people. And they will buy literally any piece of cloth you can give them. However, though they are completely harmless, they are considered kind of creepy. And while many people are happy to sell them earthly possessions because they are dealing in religious artifacts, they don't pay you in money, they pay in religious tokens. And so they're actually being purchased from. They do seem to utter strange, ominous remarks from time to time. And when she tried to sell one of them a prized headband, they told her to keep it and seemed to make reference to one of her early interactions with her lover before he died. She thinks they know more than they are saying, and somehow they are still dealing their trade despite the end of the world. They seem completely unfazed, and for what everyone can see, are not being targeted by either side. And as such, again, your goal is to reunite Hillis with her lover amidst the end of the world, with your one lead thus far being these shawlmen. They are also called cloth dealers or garment hawks. They have a bunch of different slang names among the local populace at this point. Questions?
Yes. What tech level is the base? Is it like a modern base?
This
or
is
like
modern.
A 1950s?
Yep.
So this is like...
You can think of it like Gulf War era.
Okay, that helps.
Sure.
What are these creatures that are attacking? Are they like demons, or like how big are they? How,
I would describe them as chthonic entities, creatures of water, earth, and darkness.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so our mission is just to help her. We don't have to...
Oh yeah, you don't have to participate in the end of the world whatsoever. It is more of an incidental, serious threat. I should note, the end of the world will escalate dramatically as the mission progresses, meaning that being swift is not only suggested, it's mandatory.
Do we know how long we have until the end of the world?
No.
Okay.
What time of day are we porting in at?
Dawn.
Ah, that helps.
Other questions?
These clothmen, what is their dominant color? Like, is there like a color that's more dominant on one of them than one of the others, or just so we like...
Yep, they all wear kind of patchwork, like bagworm style layers of cloth scraps. You could say that the overarching color among them is kind of muddy gray or brown.
Okay, just to like visually go, oh, there they are.
Yeah, of course. They will be very easy to spot. Ari, would you mind centering your camera? Because sometimes you fall out of frame. Just like bam,
Yeah.
right as in front as you can. I understand if it's a little fussy, so we'll fix it as it comes up. Xela, you got a thing?
Yeah.
Come back to me.
Yeah, sure. Detour, did you have a thing?
The Enverstad, so they've been reincarnated. Are they immortal?
Yes, functionally.
Interesting.
They can, in much the same way as you will see in certain mythologies, they are immortal, yet can be killed. And so they will fight again, but can be killed again.
Does it run like?
Oh, Xela first, then Ari. Fire away.
Does it run like an actual military base time where people will be actually awake and working at all hours when we get there?
Oh, yes. This is in the middle of... This is actually during a fight, like I mentioned. This is the opening skirmishes. So the base is currently under assault by their enemies. So it's going to be 100% operational. Though I should note, civilians and refugees alike will likely be dramatically more cooperative and calm than you'd expect in such a circumstance. They've known about this their whole life. They're ready for it. They are committed, on average.
What was my question? Oh yeah, about the immortal warriors. Is there like a way we could tell which ones are immortal and which ones aren't? Do they have like a
they look very
bluish
different.
glow about?
They look dramatically different.
Do they have like a bluish glow about them, or
Yeah.
Is there like a way we could like visually tell?
They look incandescent and actually emit a substantial amount of heat.
Okay, that's helpful.
Other questions?
What is the oldest warrior that has been reincarnated? Like, what's his timeline? What's his equipment?
It is tough to say. When reincarnated, he did not have modern weapons. This was a famous news story at the time, because again, this is a modern area. And he was re-equipped. He was given modern stuff. So even the long dead ones are being outfitted with modern weaponry.
Oh, wow. That's really generous. Okay.
Do we know where on the base the loved one had been stationed in his previous life?
Yep. She visited many times, so she is going to be currently there precisely. Though since battle stations are being taken, it seems unlikely that he is still precisely there at this moment.
How old was her lover when he died?
He was 16.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, conscription in this nation starts at 13.
Damn. No childhood for this place.
Yep. They're readying for the end of the world. They didn't think that they had time for that.
Yeah.
Not a life worth living.
Final questions. Sounds pretty good to me.
How big is the base?
Among military bases, this would be on the small side, and yet you can still expect it to be the size of like a small college campus at minimum. It has some artillery positions, but it is primarily an air base. So it's going to be dominated by a short runway. In that case, let us move on to assembly. Your characters coming together in Enclave HQ. As of now, of course, you are in character, minus questions and narration, etc. We're going to have Crow be there first, with Wraith being the first to join him and arrive. Let's begin by setting the stage with Crow. What is he doing?
Crow would probably arrive, see that he is first, and just post up on a wall.
Yep.
Flip Bad Penny for a bit.
Yeah. And when Wraith enters, what would Crow do? Unless he would let Wraith make the first action.
I think he probably would just like give him a once over, see what he's about.
Yeah.
Wraith is going to open the door, walk in. He's got a bunch of just stuff all kind of over him.
Yeah.
Because he's got a body layer. And he's going to get to a chair and just sort of flop down. Is there any, like, apples or any, like, refreshments?
If you look for them, there are.
Let's assume they exist. Wraith is going to look for, like, an apple, and he's going to take one and, like, munch on it.
Sure. Any words exchanged?
I think. I think once he's sort of getting settled, Crow would eventually acknowledge. Howdy.
before Wraith bites into his apple, he's gonna say, "You're Crow, yes? Have we worked together?" These missions sort of jumble together after a while. I don't remember exactly.
I don't think these two characters have ever been on a mission together. So, nope.
All right. I'll just assume Crow says no, uh, and with that, Wraith is going to hand out his hand and go, "I am Wraith Vendigroth, librarian extraordinaire at your service." He'll hold it out for him to shake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Howdy. So one of them smart ones, huh?
Very smart. Probably a little too smart for my own good. Oh well.
Well, just let me know what to shoot.
Oh. In that case, while we wait for Xela to jump back in, only other thing of note would be that as Crow is saying this, Ari, would you mind reminding us of Wraith's current gear spread? Just very briefly run through, because there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, his current gear is in no particular order. He's got scholarly raiment, reading glasses, book bag, quill pen, a black wooden staff of heating. It's 6 foot long. He's got a satchel. He's got a center, which is the scanner skin. He's got a small notepad, memo skin.
Real quick, I apologize. Xela, if you wouldn't mind hitting request to speak on your interface, I am trying to invite you to speak, and Discord isn't letting me. Pardon me. You can carry on, Ari.
He also has a portable chemistry kit, a nostrum, which is the same as Wanderer's, a toolbox. He has a book containing an evil spirit, and he's got a book bag. He does technically own this small potion of sickle stat increase, but he doesn't really use it on missions. It's like it's back. It's gonna stay at HQ.
Yeah,
because the nostrum is far better.
There's been a lot of stuff going on with him. In summary, he's the most kitted out character in the game. But it's at this point that
Really?
by far, yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's at this point that Olivia would enter the room. Upon entering and seeing the two Wraith seated with Apple, Crow standing, flipping Penny, what would she do?
She'd walk in and say, "Hey boys, how you doing?"
Wraith, I have worked with her, right? I think I have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's going to go, yes. What's her name? I can't,
Olivia.
my brain.
Liv.
Olivia. So good to see you. He holds out his hand for her to shake.
Wraith, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. This mission on like Wraith's timeline of missions, this is going to be like one of those like flashback missions they do like in like cartoons where, oh, this was a mission that was like a flashback, so this is where it's going to be on the timeline. So that's why it's all perfect.
Sure. And any follow-ups from Olivia to Crow or vice versa?
I'll give her a nod and a howdy, ma'am.
She looks Crow over and is like, "You seem familiar. My brother's a gunslinger."
Well, that's nice. He a good shot?
Yeah, little different though. Tends to use more arrows.
Yeah. I rely on this here rifle.
Good to have you on the team going into a war zone.
Indeed.
There's
It'll be a wild one.
There's a long pause before an attendant opens the door and gestures wordlessly out of the meeting room. Final actions before you embark.
As soon as Wraith sees the attendant, he kind of gets all his stuff together, straightens his back, as best he can.
Yeah.
And he waits patiently.
Get this rodeo started.
Liv downs a shot of espresso and then is like, "Let's get going."
And brought through Enclave HQ with its winding passageways and soaring arches to the teleportation chamber, small, dim, with rounded corners at the walls and the ceilings. With 3 glowing telepads waiting for you, the familiar voice says, "Agents, please take your places atop the telepads." And as you do, you feel the dissociation feeling begin in your toes, work its way up your legs, hit your eyes, and your vision explode into color. And when it reemerges, you are greeted with an utterly chaotic set of sensory input. For one, the sky above you is stormy and dark, but at the same time bright. Imagine a sun shower during a monsoon. Second of all, the ground trembles wildly under your feet, as though you are caught in like a magnitude 6 earthquake. Next, you can hear the sounds of blasting and gunfire all around. Not super close, not so close that it's deafening, but close enough that it is absolutely unmistakable. And you can even hear the streaks and bursts and blasts of actual aerial dogfighting happening in the clouds above the base, with flashes like distant heat lightning racing through the obscuring fog. There are people all around. And you can see that while it is unmistakably a military base, you're outside of a barracks right now, you can see the airfield right in front of you, the control tower, palisades posted up everywhere. It's also a very orderly and well-organized tent city. There are like civilian tents everywhere. There are some larger hub areas. There are like covered squares where people have stalls to dish out food and things like that. The whole thing, I'm not going to say is a well-oiled machine, but it is at minimum an oiled machine. You can even see aircraft getting into position along the runways, but at the same time too, not even like an eighth of a mile away across the tent city, you can actually see a looming shadow up like near the palisade that is being actively fired at by the sentries and the heavy guns up on the walls. Brief pause. I'm getting a knock on my door. Pardon me.
Would you and your players like to say goodnight to a little guy?
Yes, let's say goodnight to the baby. Okay. Hello, Grumpy. I know. Say goodnight to my son. This is the young
Good night,
Hello.
son.
All right, goofball.
Hi.
Time to go to bed. I love you. I love your wife. Baby break. All right, now baby break over. There are people all around. And immediately the Anverstad stand out wildly. Like they look like you're looking at them under an infrared camera, including their weapons. All of them, their body armor, everything glows brilliantly, and they're like 10% larger than everyone else, just magnified slightly. The other people around, they don't look, huddled and miserable and everything. People are wearing more kind of Spartan clothing, even the civilians, right? But they're not filthy and miserable. People don't even look exceptionally scared. Serious, grim even. Children are frightened, but are being taken care of as best they can. But there is shocking amounts of order. There are soldiers walking about, as well as like uniformed military police types. And so the whole place has a strong semblance of safety despite the war everywhere about. Immediate actions upon arrival. We will begin with Crow.
I think the immediate reaction is hand to revolver at the sound of gunshots, looking about for any immediate threat.
Yeah.
Presumably not finding any. So I think my next thing would be anyone that might resemble Helice's description about.
Yes, absolutely. You would have been given a picture of Helice, and you can see her very nearby. You can see that she is platinum blonde, very petite of build, with a particularly small upturned nose and a bright orange headband that has like a little military pin through it. She is wearing civilian clothing, but very simple civilian clothing.
I'd probably address my partners. There's our client.
And would Crow approach immediately?
Let's have a palaver.
Immediate actions from Olivia.
Olivia would look around and like grip her walking stick a little bit tighter.
Yep.
But also like rummage around in her satchel and like pull out a couple little toys to have on hand for the little children.
Yeah.
Just like to have on top of her bag.
Yeah.
And I imagine she'd have those things from her history as an art teacher in her bag because she just like always, when she was wandering, would try to make little friends with like the children and wherever she went.
Yep.
And so when Crow points out Helena, Helise.
Yep.
That's a My Chemical Romance song. Not the, my bad. When Crow points out Helise, Olivia would be like, we should go talk to her and see where she's looked so far so that we know where not to look.
Immediate actions from Wraith fall, including responses to this interaction.
Wraith is gonna look around, sort of look with his eyes and go, "Yep, it's a military base. That's for sure." And as soon as he hears Detour say, "There's our client," he's gonna go, "Ah, yes, let's go, Batura. Faster we get out of here, the easier it'll be for us. Don't want to be here when the whole world's getting destroyed."
And as the group makes their way over to Helise, you can see that she's looking kind of around her, her eyes following every single passing Anverstad that she sees. But once you approach her, she kind of quickly turns to you, and while uncertain at first, recognition starts to bloom in her eyes quite quickly. Crow, since he initiated, how would he like to lead this off?
Yep. Probably just approach. Howdy, ma'am. You requested some help?
And she says, yes, I did. I do not know what left there is for me to do.
These shawl men you think might know something?
I can only guess. None of us know where they came from or why they are here. I can only imagine they are from some strange land and clearly possess some mystical knowledge. They seem to know what is happening now, and they seem to be completely comfortable with it. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. Anything from Olivia?
Olivia looks at her and takes her hand gently and says, I'm sure you've done everything you can. Can you tell us what you've done so far?
Yes. I have checked his barracks. She points behind her. I have tried to speak to his former commanding officer, who has said that Anverstad is not his domain. He has no idea. I have tried to speak to our local chaplain. He says that, again, this is not his domain. I have yet to find someone whose domain it is. It is the Anverstad do not have a captain. They do not have a leader, organizer. They are led by our gods themselves. And they do not communicate closely with our forces, at least not individually. I have even tried to find his old plane, but I could not find that either.
Liv nods, understanding. You say they're led by your gods. Are your gods here, or are they still in the ethereal plane?
And you can see that she closes her eyes and takes from her hair what looks kind of like, imagine a tuning fork that's made of like rusted iron. You know what I mean? She takes the tuning fork and kind of puts it on her lips and kisses it gently and says, yes, they are among us, as she slides it back into her hair. And she says, and they will lead us to victory against Inth. I-N-T-H, Inth, she says.
Wraith,
Go.
Wraith will ask her, hearing this about the gods, so your gods can be communicated with. Have you tried to ask, hey, where is my lost husband, lover, sort of thing?
I spoke with my chaplain about this, and he said that while he is sympathetic, the gods have much greater things to worry about right now.
So you haven't tried to communicate with the gods directly?
I dare not. That would be deeply disrespectful. Any follow-ups? Yeah,
You
Crow.
know where we could find any of these shawlmen right now?
Of course. She points over towards one of those like market stall setup. It's not like a market per se, but it's one of these like food distribution areas. She points over near to there, and she says, "There is one right now." And Crow's eyes pick it out instantaneously. The other two would pick it out soon after. The shawman is tall and thin, but looks like he's wearing like 2 sleeping bags worth of clothing. Just like layers upon layers of completely mismatched fabric, much of which has faded over time and is just kind of a grayish brown.
We go interrogate him.
Indeed, that sounds like a wise decision.
Liv looks at them, smirks, and says, "You go interrogate them. I'm gonna go a different direction."
All right. Is there any meet back at the food distribution place where we are going?
I'll meet you there.
All right. Good.
Hilise
Before we
says,
head out,
"Oh yeah,
you got any clothing in that bag of yours?
Chris,
Wraith looks into his satchel and
Alright,
goes,
we have 2 satchels.
Liv rummages in her satchel and pulls out a spare scarf.
yep, that sounds completely appropriate."
Because
Wraith looks and rubs around. And says, here we are. He gets out a black silk handkerchief.
Liv hands Crow the scarf. Here you go. Will this work?
Thanks, ma'am. This'll do.
And Hilise adds, "I will go to where you have said to meet, and I will wait there until you need me.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your help. I am forever in your debt. Though
Of course.
forever closes soon towards us." And
Gonna head out.
with these ominous words, the group separates. We are going to start with Olivia first.
Let's go and find a god guy.
God guy, nice. So it turns out that the Anverstad stick out super easily, and as such, the closest one is like less than a 10-second march from where she is.
She goes up to him and says, "Hey, soldier, how you doing?"
And as she approaches, she can feel his heat radiating off of him. It's like she has come near an oven baking bread. Additionally, it's not like a burn your eyeballs warm. It's like a steamy bath warm, but without any trace of moisture. Pleasant, but not cozy. Let's put it that way. And even though he's not so bright that you can't make out the pieces of his armor and his body, it's still bright enough that, especially as he turns to face you, and you can see the strange whites of his, like the strange whiteness of his like blazing eyes, it's distinctly unhuman, even though still recognizably once human. And as he turns, instead of having a visible mouth, his voice just kind of echoes off of him. It is actually echoey, as though he were standing down a hallway from you as he speaks. And he says, "Woman from foreign land, why come you here now to end of world and time?"
"I'm looking for a god."
And there's a deep pause as he says, "For a god among mine, a god who now leads our great forces to victory.
That's correct.
With this, I cannot assist you. Their time is invaluable at this moment. They marshal us to victory, and their attention cannot be spared."
I just need to know where one is. I don't need its attention for very long.
You can see that he looks into you with his eyes burning and white and unblinking. And he says, "I cannot help but suspect your intentions, foreign woman. For what purpose?"
To give my devotion.
"I cannot help but doubt this."
Would you deny a petitioner?
"I would not." He says, "I would point you to the base chaplain."
I'm not looking for a chaplain.
And as he stares down towards you, he says, "Our great gods can be found where they belong, at the head of our forces, at the fault line between sun and earth, where the ocean rises to swallow the sky." And he raises his rifle and kind of like points with its butt over the barracks towards one of the palisades.
Okay. Liv is gonna go tell the others where she's gonna go before she goes on an adventure.
Yeah. We can assume that she quickly goes over and gives them a little binkety-bink to relay this information. Before we go further with that, Wraith and Crow, any actions as you approach the distribution center?
Wraith is just following Detour. He's gonna wait till both of them are next to the Ragman
Yeah.
guy with all the clothes.
And Crow, what would you like to do?
Yeah, just heading toward our shawl man that we were pointed towards.
Yep. The shawl man, as you get closer, more becomes obvious about him. His clothing, from the front, he's kind of slender, but for the, again, like two sleeping bags worth of crap on him. But he has like almost a bridal train behind him of spare rags that are just kind of like weirdly stitched together. So he's just like carrying a pile of cloth on his back. And there might be stuff bundled into the cloth, like some weird improvised backpack as well. It looks kind of bulky back there. And so as you're approaching, he just kind of like slowly trudges along with his train behind him like a snail's trail. People are respectful, but sometimes people do like step or whatever on it. And when they do so, the shawlman just kind of pauses and waits for people to get off and then keeps walking in no particular hurry. You quickly come within hailing distance. And as you approach, I should also note, the shawlman does once or twice kind of turn to face one person or another and maybe exchanges words, but it's too loud for even Crow's ears to pick it out.
All right, then, yeah, just get up close to him.
Yep.
Howdy, sir.
And as you face, you can see that the shawlman turns, and face is largely obscured. The one other thing that you would notice now that you're actually seeing the shawlman like properly in front of you, is that it has almost a beak-like mask, that it has rags everywhere, even covering its eyes, and then like a short beak-like mask in front that also is draped with rags and trinkets. And as it turns, it speaks to you in a crackly voice, quite quiet and hard to pick out, but for Crow's high sensory, as it says,
"Want to trade? Have cloth? Have cloth to share, to give, to sell?"
That I do. And I'm gonna hold out the scarf. I'm looking to trade for some information.
Wraith, any actions from you while Crow is saying this?
I also am a man of the cloth. He pulls out his black silk handkerchief.
And the shawman looks to both. Ari, would you mind recentering your camera? I can't see.
Oh yeah, there you go.
No problem. And as the shawman does so and kind of looks between the two items, it begins by gesturing towards Crow's. Even its fingers are covered in cloth, and it just kind of like gives a little flick towards the scarf.
Yep. Hand that over.
It takes the scarf, and the scarf kind of vanishes into its cloth pile. And as it does so, you hear it kind of like growling and clicking to itself in that strange hoarse voice that you heard before. And then it brings the scarf back out and beckons for Wraith's little handkerchief.
Here you are, my good man. Or thing. Sorry. I'm trying to offend.
As it pulls it in, you hear it clicking and kind of maybe talking to itself, and then passes it back out. And it says,
"Good cloth. Good cloth. Like it. What do you want?"
Whose cloth do you like better, mine or Detour's? I couldn't tell by that exchange.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm assuming you're saying Crow when you say Detour. I mean, like, I
yeah,
understand what
that's
you're
what I
saying,
meant. I
but
meant Crow.
No problem. And It seems to pause for a second as though thinking before saying,
This one. Like this one.
pointing towards Crow's, the scarf that Crow was given by Olivia.
All right. Well then, there was a young woman who had a headband named by Helise. She was looking for someone. She thought you might know something.
And there's a moment before it says,
Not I. Not I. Maybe another. We come and go, but do not know each other's minds. No, we do not know.
Well, how about these Enverstad? You know anything about them?
Yes, they come back for big battle.
Well, if we were looking for a particular one, how might we find him? How about that?
That is what you want to trade? Trade that?
That's right.
Wraith, did you have a follow-up?
Wraith would like to. He is going to ask. So you do not know anything, but where are your? I've heard there were 3 others of you. Where are your other companions? Perhaps I could ask them a few questions.
More than 3. We come, we go.
Wraith asks, do you know where the others are? That may be much helpful than saying we come and go.
We know not each other's minds.
Do you know where he went? He gestures around with his hand. In this vast space sort of place.
And it kind of beckons out its fingers towards Wraith's handkerchief again.
Wraith hands it to him.
And it takes it into its folds again before saying quietly,
You do not want to give me this, I do not think. Been by you long time. You must keep it, mustn't you, when you come back again?
before passing it back to Wraith.
All right, I'll keep it. Wraith is so much pride. He always thought it was the black soul.
Indeed. And Crow, as it passes it back to Wraith, it turns its beak to face you and says,
You want to find among the burning who have come back. You want to find one. Yes.
That's right. You can help.
Not for one scarf.
Well, what you need.
it gives a high, strange whine as it thinks. And it says,
Good cloth, that. Good cloth. But could be better. Could be much better.
Wraith asks, what do you define as good cloth? That's not the most descriptive word.
It gives a click and points to Wraith's handkerchief.
That one good, but you don't want to give it to me.
And it gestures towards in the direction of Helise, who has actually come close, or like approached the area because that's where she said she'd meet you. And she says,
That one with the orange, that orange, very good. But she does not want to give it to me. She should not want to. That orange, very good, though.
Wraith asks, does it have to be the whole orange cloth? Could it be a strip of it or a piece? Perhaps you do not need the whole thing. Would that suffice?
Worse. It says in a darkening voice. As it says this, you guys hear a boom, and you can see a number of the surrounding civilians kind of duck and get low, and you hear yelps and screams come up from some of them. Not terribly far away, you can see that one of the planes that has recently taken off from the base, within sight of it, has been brought down and actually crashes into maybe like a hillside that this base is stationed on or something like that. Smoke erupts over the edge of the palisades, as you can see that it has crashed extremely close to the base.
We better get a move on.
The Shawl Man makes literally no acknowledgement of this nearby crash. But before we go further, we're going to jump back over to Olivia. So at some point during that interaction, we can assume that Liv came in and was just like, I'm over here. And
she may have used a waypoint. She could also have used a waypoint and left one where they said they'd meet, or given it to Helena.
Yep.
Helise.
Helise, yeah.
So let's say she gave her waypoint to Helise and said, give this to my friends.
Yep.
And it's a little friendship bracelet, because that's what her waypoints are skinned as.
Nice.
Little alpha pattern friendship bracelets with messages in them.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's walking to go find a god.
Absolutely. And will she be going in the exact direction that she was pointed, or does she have a different idea?
Nope, she's just straight shot.
Yep. In that case, past the barracks and through another section of tent towards the palisade, you can see that while these, and when I say palisade, it's like a fortress wall that's mostly earthworks, like a ramp on your side leading up, and then a parapet of some kind that has like littered with modern guns and is covered in heavy casing. It's an extremely well fortified thing. And they do seem to be actually allowing civilians to come up and about it, despite the fact that some of the guns on the fortification are booming away. Will you be approaching the actual, like, parapet, the fortification itself?
I'm gonna have Liv use the fork in the road.
Yeah.
To see, to like get a feel for what would happen if she did go up on the parapet.
Guesses?
She guesses is she might find a god commanding the front line.
Yeah.
So like on the top of the parapet directing the gunfire.
Yep.
Yeah, that's her guess.
Sure. And as she does so, have you ever had a falling dream before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, in her little mind's eye, all she would see is herself falling towards water, distant water below, with her hands flailing in front of her face.
She's not gonna go up on the parapet. She's gonna go in one of the tents near the bottom of the parapet.
Indeed. And as she just pick a tent at random sort of deal.
Pick a tent at random with like, does she have any luck? No. Yes, she has +2 to luck.
Yeah. What is she hoping for? What is she trying to find?
She's trying to find a command tent.
I see. Okay. In that case, she can hazard a guess at a tent that looks less like ramshackle. And in that case, as she does so, and approaches one of these, the nearest tent that seems like it could maybe be appropriate, and pushing her way through the flap, she finds herself in a reasonably sizable area. It has about 8 or 9 people inside, all of whom are wearing uniforms. You can see that 2 of them are over in the corner, maybe playing cards. 4 others are around a big table. 2 others are posted by a radio. And another one is over near, how to describe it? You know, one of those fluorescent light bars that you sometimes see in old office buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine something that looks kind of like one of those, but it's large and it's upright rather than lighting from up top.
Okay.
What would you like to do as she enters?
Are any of these soldiers back from the dead soldiers?
Yes, there is one. Over by the table.
She goes over to that guy
Mhm.
and says, I'm looking to petition your commander. Do you know his location?
And as she approaches and he turns, again, you can feel the warmth radiating off and see the strange empty void of his white eyes. And as his voice echoes back to you, he says, "A petition? I see. And for what reason do you wish to do so?"
I wish to help in the fight.
As you say this, one of the mortals around the table looks up, and his eyes kind of brighten a little bit, his eyebrows go up, and he says, "You wish to fight alongside us? Now, at the time of the groundbreak? Well, we are honored and delighted for that." He smiles, but you can see that it's like a short, formal smile.
She smiles back and says, yes, but I want to petition a god to do it.
You see that there's a kind of a pause among them, and they kind of look at each other, except for the Anverstad, who continues to stare towards you. Even the person one of the people by the radio takes off a headphone and looks over at you as though you sprouted a second head. And he says, civilian recruitment can be found nearby. You will not need to do anything of that nature, I assure you.
I need to for my spiritual growth.
Now they're all looking at you as though you're working on sprouting a third head. And the one who has been speaking says, meaning no disrespect, now is absolutely not the time. Even before the groundbreak began, the gods, their time is better spent on other matters. We mean no disrespect. This is the matter of a chaplain. The Anverstad says, "What are your intentions by doing so?"
I have certain skills that could be helpful in a battle. I could be a good spy.
And he says, "A spy among the Inth." It's not even a question, it's just a statement. He says...
She nods and uses her 2 will to kind of match him.
And he says, "A spy among the Inth is as a spy sent by the spiders to live among the ants. The spiders and the ants are so fundamentally different that nothing could be gleaned. The ants would eat the spider without a second thought."
I have my ways.
And the Anverstad says, "Perhaps, and yet your ways are the ways of mortals. This is a war to be fought with divine power, wrath, and righteousness, and not with subterfuge among mortals." One of the mortals around him says, "Yes, but thank you for saying so, sir." And yet he looks to you, clearly trying to not be rude, and says, "We would, of course, be delighted to have your assistance. Matters are quickly escalating, and so if you wish, I can bring you at once to our chaplain or to our recruitment office."
She's gonna say, "Can you bring me to the chaplain?"
Yes, of course. He says, "Royer," and a man comes in from outside, and he says, "Sir," he says, "would you kindly bring this potential recruit to the chaplain?" And Royer says, "Of course, sir." And he says, "Please come with me."
She follows.
Royer is a short redhead with strong shoulders. He seems to be mostly wearing like civilian clothing, but he still has his sidearm on him, and he also has a little earpiece in. And he says, "So you come from foreign lands to join us now at the groundbreak. That is, we are honored. We did not think such things would happen."
Yes, I have come to join.
And he nods encouragingly and says, good, good, very good. You fight then on the side of light and warmth. He says, the forces of Inth come strong towards us, and soon, as is prophesied, the sea will engulf the sun, and the world will be plunged into darkness. But through this darkness, we will persist. You'll be up against terrific fear and great peril, and yet, as is prophesied, we will prevail.
She nods, thinking, and says, where is the sea? I'm not familiar with your lands.
He points past the fortification that you had been pointed towards. He says, there, at that point lies our demarcation line. At that point rises the sea in defiance.
She nods. Oh. And the gods fight at the sea?
They are likely to be there at this very moment.
I understand. Are there any warriors at the sea?
Not yet. As of now, I believe it is solely our great divinities holding the front and facing down the forces of Inth. They will soon then be joined by our Anverstad, and then by all the rest. We go in as one, and we strike, and we win. He says it with a smile and a hearty kind of toss of his hair.
She nods. I understand. And you've seen the gods?
I myself, only once. I only saw one.
Can you tell me about that?
Maybe. Maybe. He weaves his way through the tent city, and as he thinks to himself, clearly not sure how much he should say, he says, it was but a month ago when the gods began to come down to join us in preparation for a groundbreak. It was Edroia herself, the Lady of the Forge. I have never seen... It was as though a dream, but a dream beyond the comprehension of my mind. It's impossible to explain. Impossible to.
Liv nods. Would she not be at the forges now? Would that not be where she is the most beneficial?
He says, the time for preparation is over. As the prophecies have foretold, it is the time for action. And Idroia, alongside the others, now stands at the front. All of the gods stand at the front. And as is prophesied, it is likely that no more than 2 will survive.
She nods. I understand.
Before we go further, let's jump back over to Crow and Wraith. So after the great boom shudders the surroundings, you see that another person nearby has come over to the shaman and begins to offer them a pile of what looks like folded button-up shirts. He says, "Good day to you, foreigner, sir. May I exchange for an iron tine?" And he does his routine of taking the pieces in and checking them out underneath his garments. And after a little while says,
Iron thine. Yes. Small iron thine for this pile. Small.
"Small I can accept. It is for my daughter." And you can see that he exchanges one of those little tuning fork things, the rusted tuning forks, for the pile of clothes, which he then tucks into his garments. You're not sure exactly where he puts them. There's just like a shuffling underneath the layers of cloth.
Leaning on my sensory here a bit, the quality of the cloth itself, did this just look like regular old work clothes? Was there anything in particular that's special about them?
They look to be clean, pressed office worker dress shirts. Definitely not of crappy quality. and yet there was like a pile of them, right? It was like a stack of 6 of them. And he seemed to haggle down to a very low price for them.
And colorful, not colorful?
Some were, but it did not seem that he took more time or was more interested by the colorful ones when he was examining them under his layers.
And I guess just thinking back, or even you mentioned Halise isn't even necessarily that far away, but the quality of her headband, like what kind of cloth was it?
The headband, from what you remember and from what you can see from here, is kind of like a stretchy sporting band. It's like cheaply made, kind of cruddy, not particularly interesting. It's orange, it's kind of worn, it's kind of old. The color is bright, but that's about the only like noteworthy thing about it. It also has very little... Oh, pardon?
No, yeah, I'm just thinking out loud. Like, yeah, maybe it's more about the emotional significance of it.
Yeah.
I don't know that Crow would necessarily think that, though.
Yeah. Anything that Crow would say to Wraith or mention to him while he is examining, considering, and similar?
Probably just say, well, got any bright ideas?
I do have one. I think we should maybe get a few of those shirts, take it to him, and maybe get one of those tuning forks that may aid us in our investigation.
Well, we best be quick about it.
Yes.
Yeah, looking about, where would we even find some clothes or...
Could I...
The distribution center, for the record, only seems to have things like food, toiletries, stuff like that. You do not see clothes or cloth being sold there, or if it has, they're out. Sorry, Wraith. What was that catalog?
I have a better idea. I'm going to stop a military policeman, like somebody in military uniform.
Yeah, military policeman.
And I'm going to ask him, "Ho there, man! Is there any place where we could get some spare clothing to offer to the ragman? He seems to want a certain article of clothing that we do not possess. You know, we could find some."
And the military policeman gives a short laugh. I apologize, sir. We are completely out. The shawlman came in and took every last scrap we had to spare. We decided that since this is the last day of time, we would give them everything that we had. In exchange for what they had to offer. They are going about buying every last scrap of folk they can find as well, so you would be hard-pressed to find spare fabric everywhere besides the shirts on your own back. I should note, indecency is not tolerated on this base.
Right, Ooh. He's going to ask the man, "Do you have any clothing that is not being worn in like one of your spare barracks, or
every last scrap has been already sold to the shawlman."
Are you sure?
We have even cut up the bed sheets for them, the mattresses, the potato sacks, everything has been sold to them. We offered them our tents, but they did not seem to be very fond of them. The tents are made of a polymer, and they seem rather averse to it. They want cloth. They do not accept polyesters as well.
Wraith has an idea, or this is probably a dumb idea. He's going to reach into his book bag, and he's going to have, those things where they have like little cloth swatches.
Yeah.
Like when you have like wallpaper.
Yeah.
He's gonna get a book of that.
Book of little cloth swatches. You know, I'm gonna say yeah, but I think your satchel is gonna be dried up for a little while, so you'll have to wait before you grab anything else.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. While you're fishing around for that and talking to the MP, actions from Crow.
I am trying to remember something, and I would need to look up Wraith's character sheet. So as a question, what gear items does he have? Does he have a mantle?
I do not. Sadly.
Like
that'd be useful, but I don't have it. Sorry.
Let's see. Okay. Probably approach Elise.
Yep. And she looks to you. She has a friendship bracelet, and she says, "Oh, she, the other, told me to give this to you," and it would convey Olivia's message. What would Olivia's message say?
Going to find a god.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, good luck with that. Looking at her headband again, so it looks pretty basic. Tell me, what's so special about their headband?
She shrugs and says, "Nothing. I don't think. Nothing, at least. I've had it a long time. I've had it since primary school. I used to play a lot of sports, and I wore it during sporting matches. I really don't know there's much more about that. It's just part of my wardrobe a long time."
Wow.
Do you think that the showman might actually take it? He refused it earlier. He said it was too valuable.
Well, it's about the only lead we got, unless you got some other spare clothes lying about.
I do not. The military actually, before we came here a few days ago, they asked us to contribute every last piece of cloth we had, effectively like a cloth drive that was sold en masse to the showman.
Actually, remembering, she had one of those tuning forks, like in her hair
Yeah,
or
she did.
something, right? I'm gonna point to that, like that there. What is that?
Oh, and she pulls it out, and she says, "When the stones begin to crack, this will allow me," and she puts it back into her hair, "and many others to take up arms even once our bodies are gone."
So, coming like one of them Everstand?
Not quite. They died in battle. We would be dying, or as I understand, we would be transcending the physical realm once it is gone.
Alright.
I do not know how the showmen have acquired so many of these. These are typically very, precious, I suppose.
That's so.
I bought one with my whole family. We all bought them from showmen about 2 months ago when they first started to arrive. We were panicked. We wanted to join the battle even after the realm vanished. And we didn't think we could, but now we can.
Alright, well, you'd be willing to part with that there headband?
Of course, of course. She pulls it off and she says, "If they will take it," and passes it over towards you.
And one more question. What was your man's name again?
Actually, I forgot to tell you that one.
Yeah.
Pardon.
That in a description, basically. I realized, we don't know what we're looking for.
Yep. She says, "His name is Karst. 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 You would have gotten a picture of him, at least when he was alive.
Okay.
Karst was not a tall guy, but was a very athletic guy. Kind of a lean, 5 o'clock shadow, stubbly face, swept hair, very slender, long eyes, and kind of a heavy, almost hawk-like brow. Though in the picture, it would have been a picture of him and Elise, and he would have been smiling in his airman uniform."
Alright. And take this over to the shaman.
Wraith, any other actions from you that you'd like to take while Crow is handling this, now that you've got your little swatches book?
Okay, I'm going to go over to the shaman and ask him, "Shaman, I have a book of swatches of different colored fabrics and things of the like. Which of these do you prefer? Perhaps I could trade you the whole book."
Would you mind recentering
You would
your
like?
camera, Ari?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Pardon. And he says,
Wish, let me see.
Wraith hands it.
it vanishes into the folds again. As it does so, you guys hear another great boom and a crash and another set of screams. This time, you can see that one of the far sentry towers along the fortifications, like a little ahead of the fortifications but still in sight, has been taken down by what looks like a small concentrated tsunami of mud that crashes it, literally sweeping it away like a tidal wave. As this happens, however, the showman completely ignores it and passes the book back and says quite bluntly,
This is worthless.
Okay, so the book is worthless, but did you like any of the fabric? Is there any fabric in it you like? You want me to get?
Paltry.
Oh, could you explain? Wraith is somewhat confused.
Yeah.
By his meaning.
He says,
Almost worthless.
Perhaps you could point.
Almost. I trade you this for it.
He holds out in his cloth-strewn hand a small handful of rusty carpet tacks, and holds them out to you.
Wraith would be. He looked at those carpet tacks. Those are nice. That's rusty. But, do you have one of those tuning forks? That would be much more valuable.
He says,
What would you need for that?
Much more than this.
He kind of gives not a dismissive flick of his hand in the direction of the cloth scrapbook. The book has a lot of cloth scraps in it, of many different types, and yet it seems completely disinterested in it. Before we go further, I want to jump back over to Olivia, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Having weaving your way through the camp with Royer, do you have any other actions you'd like to take before you guys reach the chaplain?
Nope, I'm good to reach the chaplain.
As you do so, roaring planes take off directly overhead, and you hear the distant sounds of missiles being fired. Flashes of light illuminate the horizon wildly, and one of the larger artillery pieces on a nearby tower booms off a couple of times, causing the ground to shake even more than it does, and making your ears ring wildly afterwards. You hear that there's a little horn that goes off before an artillery piece fires, and you soon start to notice that whenever that horn goes off, a bunch of nearby civilians all cover their ears simultaneously.
Okay.
Soon, though, you are brought to perhaps not what you'd expect to be the site of a chaplain. You are brought inside of what is almost certainly a refueling station. You can see tankers, small tanker vehicles being brought around and being deployed out across the runway to refuel different jets and things like that. And amidst the fuel pumps, you can see that there is a beautiful shrine, open air shrine set up. And inside of that, you can see a man who looks like he's wearing clothing made of LEDs. People are queued up to come and lay gifts down, and each time he does it seems like he thanks them and takes a huge one of those tuning fork things and kind of passes it around them. A whole bunch of different ceremonial activities seem to be taking place. Not to mention people bringing guns for him to bless. As you were doing so, however, Royer cuts the line and brings you all the way up to the chaplain. The chaplain is, unsurprisingly perhaps, an older fellow. And seems to actually be struggling with the weight of the oversized tuning fork that is the size of a sledgehammer in his arms.
I look to him and say, "Hello. I was hoping you could give me some answers."
And Royer quickly explains something in their own native language, and the man nods and from his pocket pulls out a set of spectacles and pops them open and puts them on his face. And he says, "Yes, my daughter, how may I assist you?"
I was hoping to pledge Sure Gods and join the army.
Well, we are delighted to have you. The recruitment office is nearby, but I assume you have a spiritual matter to bring to me.
Yes, I would like to meet the gods before I pledge myself to them in their fight.
Yes, I understand. We can introduce you to them transcendentally. They are not able at this time to make
corporeal appearance to you. Their attentions are entirely devoted to the groundbreak at hand.
Could I go help them with the ground break before I join?
And he blinks, kind of overwhelmed, and says,
We appreciate your enthusiasm, but even our most veteran and senior mortals are not allowed in that sphere of combat yet. The fight at hand on the front is something so far beyond us that I would not be surprised if we were to be vaporized by coming close to it. Our place is behind the gods, ready to follow them through to victory.
You said I could meet them transcendentally. How would that work?
Of course, my daughter, of course. I can help you with that immediately.
he says, here. And he passes you what can only be described as a brochure. Imagine a religious brochure with each of the gods beautifully plastered in like a big centerfold spread. And their gods are fully focused on domains of light and heat and warmth and productivity overall. There's gods for dozens of different things. It seems that overall, in this brochure, they have no less than 16 primary gods, and no less than triple that of lesser gods, and no less than quintuple that of even smaller ones. And the brochure is effectively like advertising each god and showing that why you should be a supplicant of them. What sort of domain is Olivia going to look for?
She's gonna look for the god of like determination.
Determination. Okay. That would be the god of inner fire.
That works for Liv. She can get behind that with her 2 pluses to will as her
Indeed.
third characteristic.
And this particular goddess is called Castuse. Castuse, the goddess of inner fire. Determination is one way of describing her domain, and you can see that she is depicted as having literally like her legs and upper torso separated by just like a roiling maelstrom of fire. You can also see that she is depicted typically with her eyes closed and with a brilliant like halo radiating around her brow like the rings of Saturn. The gods themselves are quite beautifully and stylistically depicted, and the brochure contains all sorts of information about them. For example, for Castuse, one of her primary symbols and foremost icons is a compress. You know what I mean? Like warm up a cloth and push it to your skin. That's one of her things. And so the brochure is genuinely helpful, even if it's like unconventional way of spreading this sort of religious information. As you are looking towards Castuse, the chaplain gives an approving nod, and he says,
Yes, the Lady of Spirit. She is great and powerful, and she does not suffer fools or weaklings alike.
Okay. I'm gonna make a pitch.
yeah.
And it's a little crazy. Can Liv familiar face a god in an ethereal sense so it'll metaphysically respond to her prayer?
This would not be the first time someone has familiar faced a god. And as you might expect, my follow-up question is, how would you like to do that? Because
Okay, so Liv had a really rough childhood where she like was always like having to figure things out for herself and like because she didn't want to rely on anyone and was like fiercely independent. And so like she had this crazy determination about her and she'd like be reaching out to this higher being. So like it's a familiarity with a higher being that like she depended on as a child.
well, in that
And
case,
she was like alone and scared.
let's elaborate on your paired action then, because obviously normally familiar faces paired action is sudden realization or recognition. What would Liv do when she sees Castuses spread within the brochure? How would she react? What would she do or say or similar?
I think she'd get a little choked up. Like it would bring back like a flood of memories for her, and she'd be like in her memories and be like, hello again in her head, and start talking in her head and having a conversation with the goddess like she used to when she was younger and walking in the city by herself in places she should not be walking alone.
Yeah.
And be like, if I walk like I own it, I'll be safe. Please help me stay safe. Please give me the determination to stay safe in this. Like, I know I shouldn't be here, but...
The chaplain seems to notice you getting choked up, and he takes his large tuning fork and places it so the tines are on either side of your head, as he says, "Welcome, my daughter. The goddess awaits you." And you suddenly feel an intense thrumming heat between your ears, like in your head, as though it's like, it's the best way to, what's a good way to describe this? Imagine a migraine weren't unpleasant and were more analogous to a very hot bath. You know? Tough to explain.
Okay.
But as you do so, your vision kind of falls away, and you feel as though you are falling upwards in a column of hot light. You don't see a person around you. It's almost as though you don't see anything around you. But you know she is here, even if you cannot see her. What would you like to do?
Liv starts speaking to her and says, hello again. Thank you for meeting me. I'm looking for someone. And would she know his name?
Yes, you would have been told at HQ. That was my bad. His name is Karst.
Okay. I'm looking for a man named Karst who's been brought back. I cannot seem to find him anywhere. Would you be able to help me?
There's no voice that responds to you per se, but instead the feeling of it kind of resonates through you. And you, quote-unquote, hear her voice return. You've done a lot of growing, I can see.
I've tried.
The man you speak of seems to have fallen beyond the mortal realm. He is at my side. He and all his kind. This is the end of days. Small interactions like this, small loose threads, cannot all be tied easily. Why do you wish to look for him?
I'm a part of something bigger now. I'm not alone anymore. I need to help other people not be as I was.
Are you sure you're ready for that?
I'm sure.
Sometimes such pledges can bring you places that you cannot climb out of.
I have to be ready. It's my duty.
You can feel her presence come close to you, and you can feel the warmth burn brighter inside of you, as she says, "He is not far. Danger surrounds him, and danger will surround you too when you come close. His duty will bind him. He will not come with you. You must go to him. Look for him where she looked for him once."
Thank you. You've always been there for me.
I will not forget you, and I'd recommend you do not forget me either.
I would never.
Chin out. Spine straight. Eyes forward. Fear no darkness.
Thank you, my goddess.
I'm counting on you. And your head shudders back to the mortal realm. Your eyes blink with the remaining traces of light. And you can see that the chaplain's kindly face looks at you as he says,
She spoke long to you. Congratulations.
Liv smiles at the chaplain. Thank you. I've known her for a long time.
Good, good. No wonder she spoke so long. They love to see familiar faces.
And as he says so, he says, please, and passes you one of the rusted tuning forks. It's a small one, the size of the one that Hilise put into her hair.
She smiles, takes it, and puts it in her satchel. Or actually, she ties it to the top of her,
Walking stick?
her walking stick has like little strings with like little like Chinese staircase bracelets down the side of them.
Cool.
That like her kids had made for her that she like kept tied onto that because she couldn't fit enough on her arms.
Of course.
So like she like ties it to the end of one of those.
Quite. Makes sense. And from there, what will she do?
She's gonna go find Crow and Wraith and tell them what she's learned.
Before we go further with that, let's catch them up. Crow and Wraith. Further actions from you. Wraith has just tried to deal in cloth scraps. We'll start with Crow from here.
So I had attained Helise's headband.
Yep.
So heading back over to the shaman and holding it out. Do you like this one, huh?
Yes. Very good one. Very good one. But
What's so special about it anyways?
But you don't want to give me that one. She'll not forgive herself giving that one away.
Why is that?
Something's too precious.
Didn't seem so precious.
Never does.
So I'm thinking Crow would actually find this rather ominous.
I would imagine he does.
You know, particularly with that, like weird West background. Like he reads into this. Well, we need to find this girl's man. Anything you can do to help us.
Nothing for free. Not even now. Nah. Nothing for free, ever for free.
All right. He's gonna take off his duster. This fine piece right here.
It takes it. Wraith, any actions from you as the shawl man is examining this piece?
Ooh. Fun fact. The leather on his duster is much finer than Crow realizes.
I accept this fun fact without question. And the shawl man examines this longer than any piece yet. The duster is bulky enough you can actually see it underneath all of the layers, and then all the while clicking and like growling to itself, it finally says,
Beautiful. Such loveliness. I don't know if you will be happy to part with this one. I don't know if you will.
I don't think so either, but got a job to do.
At what cost, though? At what cost?
Gonna have to find out.
I take it.
Well,
you hear a kind of happy purr in its voice that you haven't heard before. And you hear it saying to itself as it shuffles the piece within its folds, lovely, lovely.
well,
Where's our man?
Crow shudders. It's much colder than he realized. And similarly, the looming shapes that you can see through the fog are now more numerous and closer. Sometimes the fog is split by artillery blasts, and you can see for split seconds what look like mountains come to life, or maybe waves, or maybe great sea serpents. It's almost impossible to tell.
Get wild out there. We need to get this done.
Wraith, actions you would like to take as Crow is making this trade.
I would like to. How many swatches are in that book of swatches?
We can comfortably say dozens, like approaching 100.
Okay. What I'd like to do is there a place nearby where Wraith can get a needle and thread?
Not easily. But do you want to ask around a bit?
Yeah.
Sure. As you do so, you can find that because they're doling out supplies, right, and toiletries. And actually, you know what? I'll say that Wraith could find a needle and thread. It's not cloth after all, and he would find one among the distribution center, and he would be given it for free. Like it's supplies to be distributed.
Okay, good. Here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
First, I want to use knowledge as power to get a book of speed. Basically, it's going to make it to where Wraith can do things real fast. Just really fast. And he's going to snap his fingers.
What's the book going to be on? Is this going to be on sewing or something like that?
Yeah. Sewing.
Yeah.
Sewing. That's good. And what I want to do is take those swatches and take them out and basically stitch them all together to make a much bigger thing of cloth.
Okay, and you're okay with the magical power being put towards, like, facilitating this happening extremely quickly?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
In that case, Wraith would be able to almost telekinetically sew these things together. The needle and thread, like, flashing through midair. And you make, like, a long daisy chain. Like, you know those magician ropes that they just pull out endlessly? You'd make, like, one of those of all of the cloth scraps in the book within, like, a minute.
Okay, now that this is done, Wraith is gonna go to the swatch, the rag guy, and he's gonna go, "Is this enough for one of your tuning forks?" Wraith is getting kind of annoyed at this guy.
And you can see that it looks to you and seems to be more interested, and it holds out its hand beckoningly. Are you gonna give?
Yeah, he's gonna give.
Yep, it slurps it up like a noodle into its folds, and it's examining away. And then you can hear it murmuring and saying,
Very nice, very nice.
And eventually you hear it say to you,
Large improvement. Very large improvement. Are you sure you want to give me this?
Yes.
Very good, very good. I happily trade.
and it passes you a tuning fork.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to do with this tuning fork is I want to scan it, like see what it does. Is there any other things other than what people have said?
Oh, excuse me. I'm being given a half-eaten banana. Thanks.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a cat bringing in a dead chipmunk. Much appreciated, wife.
That's great. That's awesome.
Now, pardon me. So you're scanning.
Yep.
This thing, while it is seemingly a crappy, rusty piece of iron, is absolutely alive with magic. It's as though it is as though this tuning fork is hanging from the heavens on a string. And that string is of a magic so robust that just looking at it, it would be stronger than many of the magics that Wraith has interacted with. I don't know about all your missions, but on any of mine.
Okay. Wraith wants to catalog the tuning fork so he can ask some questions.
What is he going to have the tuning fork do when he activates catalog?
Basically, when he activates catalog, the tuning fork's going to spin.
Okay, yeah, I see.
In
Do you
midair.
mind recentering your camera, by the way?
Oh yeah. There
Thank
you
you. And as the tuning fork spins, what is he going to try to learn out of it?
go. What is it made out of?
Yep, it is made out of 100% rusty iron. It is hand forged and is as such very imperfect. It is also very old. In fact, remarkably old, like a couple hundred years old at minimum.
Is there any like writing on the catalog or the tuning fork?
Zilch.
Like that writing that he does not see with his naked eye.
Yep, nothing whatsoever. It is tethered to the heavens, and apart from that, rather from that tether, it seems to draw all of, or most of, if not all, its power.
This is probably a stupid idea. But Ray's gonna take his tuning fork. He's gonna take his staff, the bits of metal, and he's gonna ram it, strike it, see what it does.
Like
against
his staff, you said?
Yeah, against the metal part of his staff because it's a tuning fork.
Think. Unlike a tuning fork, it does not make a pleasant ring. It just makes kind of a hollow clunk noise. However, you do notice that for the moment you struck, in the fading light of the scanner, the tuning fork's magic would, rather than just being a tether to the heaven, would briefly flare between its two tines.
Okay.
Before we go much further with that, Crow, follow-up actions you would like to take with your duster now off.
Shiver a bit, now that it's so cold and I'm not protected from environmental threats. And then, like, Will, where's he at?
And he says immediately,
Do not know.
You shitting me? We had a deal.
Yes, can answer, can give information. Have not that information.
Well, come on, out with it.
it doesn't respond at all.
Tell. You say what you want to know. I tell you if I know it.
Where's Karst?
Do not know.
Well, where should I look for Karst? Who does know?
As it does so, a nearby person calls over to Crow. Are you having any trouble, sir?
Yeah, I'm about to shoot this strong man dang face if he don't answer my questions after he took my duster.
Do you need me to get you a military police?
Would that even be of any help?
The person doesn't seem to have much of an answer for this and runs off to get a military police for you. As you do so, the shawl man says,
No shoot. No need to shoot. No.
And says,
Well,
You ask me a question I know the answer to. I give you the answer. How is that?
who knows where he is?
and he points over to Hilise.
Yeah, dang it.
You hear a kind of dusty crackle within him. To Crow's ears, it might sound like a mocking laugh.
You... Alright. We ain't getting anywhere with you, and time's wasted. Head back over to Hilise.
As you do so, it says,
Ask her about the fifth dawn's parting. Ask her that.
Alright. And handing her back her headband.
Oh, he has her headband.
Oh, he took it. He did
He
take
took
it.
Yep.
Well, then. Listen, what's this about this fifth dawn something or other?
Oh, you can see that she blushes slightly.
Yes, that would be... Oh, dear.
How do they know that?
Listen, lady, I don't know, but that's where your man might be.
Well,
So, when we first became an item, we spent several days together, and I had to leave on dawn of the 5th day. We were. She frowns for a second. I suppose the last place I would have seen him would have been in the hangar.
Well, let's head there then.
You think he is there?
Worth a shot.
Well,
Most we got out of the Shulman.
They are not allowing civilians there because of the aircraft takeoff. I don't know if...
Well, we'll just have to figure something out.
This would be the
Let's
point
go.
at which Olivia rejoins Crow, Wraith, and Hilise. When Wraith and Crow look to her, she looks different. It's, like I said, it's dark out today, but it's as though her color saturation were tuned up.
Wraith is going to notice this and go, someone seems a little brighter.
I had a good chat with the goddess.
Ah, any
So-
information about our man?
She says, yeah, Halise knows where he is. She's been there.
That would indicate the hangar, then. Yes, that would indicate the hangar. I say then that we try to get in. We must try.
Let's go.
Yep.
And as you say this, she points across the camp, and the group of you start to hurry out in that direction. As you do so, you hear more bursts and more blasts, and then the ground shudders wildly as a literal rift opens partway through the military base, and people are quickly and expertly shepherded away from it.
Whoa!
You can see that Hilise...
Wraith,
Oh, yeah?
upon seeing this Wraith like dodges out of like the way like side, you know.
Yep.
So it doesn't like hurt.
Hilise hardly pays attention to it and says kind of matter-of-factly,
Yes, it looks like the ground break is progressing exactly as the prophecies have foretold. This is good news.
You say so. I don't plan on being here to find out much more.
Oh, really? Well, I'm sorry to hear that. She says, it will be a glorious victory. I can promise you that.
Liv
Good
nods,
luck to all that.
Liv nods and says, so Halise, you said they're not letting civilians into the hangar?
No, I did think to go there, but they had quite a perimeter there because the planes, there can't be anyone in the way or even close to in the way.
So why don't we go join the military?
I thought to. I did think to, but recruits do not have airfield access.
Would it be easier to get in if we were in the military?
Before she can respond, however, she had, before when you were going, she had pointed out the hangar up ahead, but it's at this point that you guys hear another shuddering thud, and you can see the roof of the hangar explode as a great dark shape rushes up out of it. For the first time since you guys have arrived, you can actually see a small shudder of fear throughout some of the nearby civilians, particularly Hilise, who looks horrified, and then after a pause starts to sprint towards the hangar.
Guess we're going to the hangar.
Yep.
Liv sprints after her.
The great
Off
dark
to
shape
the
that
hangar we
has
go.
the great dark shape that has erupted out begins to kind of fold back in around the hangar. It seems to almost be like a hydra, but made of mud and water and darkness, with its head splitting and reforming and crashing through and into the building. Shots start to rain down on it from all sides, and wherever the shots land, you can see pieces of it are flung off of it, and wherever they hit the ground, they turn into smaller versions of it that immediately set upon everyone nearby.
Well, revolver drawn, making sure nothing gets too close as we run.
Now,
Liv is running, can she use By the Wayside?
Absolutely. What's she going to be targeting?
She's going to be targeting her walking stick
Yeah.
and infusing it with magical firepower connected to the goddess that she just channeled in relation to her determination, like the effectiveness of the staff increases.
Okay, I would say normally this would absolutely not work because By the Wayside is about finding new objects. But since you talked about in the context of your recent interaction with the goddess, I'm actually okay with this. Like the seeing the walking stick in a new light sort of way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So just want to clarify. Normally, no. In this case, yes, because of your good context that you added. Now,
Sweet.
you guys are approaching a heavy rise. The last thing separating from you guys from the hangar. At the top of the rise, there is a heavy chain link fence, and just beyond it, absolute mayhem as the mud, darkness, water creatures spill down from the roof of the hangar and are attacking everything in sight. So you have about a steep 20-foot embankment and then a high chain link fence ahead of you. We'll begin with Crow here.
Is this a gate or a fence?
Full fence and a high one too. There is presumably a gated entrance, but it would probably require lapping around the building, and you would have to check first.
And is there barbed wire?
There's not barbed wire.
Okay. I mean, with 2 reflex, I think I can get over the fence pretty easily. So I am not concerned about myself. So
Yep.
holster my gun and just
Yep.
ramble up the fence and hop over.
Crow can make the embankment and then climb the fence almost effortlessly, but while he is doing so, Olivia, actions from you as you reach the embankment. Crow is heading straight up.
Liv runs up the embankment, chucks her staff over the wall, along with her satchel, and just chucks her stuff over the wall and then scales the fence.
Might, reflex, vigor.
Baseline.
Baseline? Okay. In that case, just getting up the embankment is actually a bit of a challenge. Like, it is steep, and you have to completely hands and knees to scrabble your way up. While you were doing so, Wraith, actions from you as you approach the embankment.
What Wraith is going to do, he's going to find a vehicle. Is there like a Jeep or a truck or anything around he could get into and
Luck stat?
He's got...
Is it 2? I think it's 2.
Yeah, it's 2.
Yeah, okay. In that case, absolutely. There is a small, not quite, it's like a big golf cart size, truck.
Wraith is going to get into that.
Yep.
As he's going, he's going to say to Olivia, my dear, would you rather join me in this wondrous vehicle? Much better than crawling on your hands and knees.
Liv stops crawling and says, "Yep, thanks, Wraith."
Is Wraith going to bust straight through this chain link?
Liv says, do it.
You know what? I will. But you know what we're going to do? He is going to take his quill pen and write on the golf cart to make the metal tougher.
Oh, you're trying to do like a little runic infusion type dealio.
Yeah. Yeah, basically make it stronger than it normally would be.
What is your arcane stat?
I'm going to bust through it. What?
What's your arcane stat?
My arcane stat is +3.
Okay, +3. I want you... Do you have a pen and paper handy? It's fine if not.
Yeah, I can get one. Just be patient.
Yeah, sure. I want you to draw me that rune.
Okay.
Before we go further, Crow, while Aria's working on that,
Yep.
Crow has crested the fence, leaps down effortlessly. Boom. He finds himself near, the outside of the hangar. There's, lines upon, stacks upon stacks of supplies and things all piled up. A couple of small vehicles posted about, but many of these are in complete disarray. There are a couple of the chthonic creatures that are spilling out from the hangar roof nearby, but most of them, doesn't seem any of them have quite immediately noticed him yet, and are instead redoubling their efforts to get back into the hangar. Several of them kind of oozing quickly up the walls to smash in through windows, or lapping around the edges towards the mouth of the hangar where the planes emit from. What does he want to do immediately upon landing?
Any immediately like obvious way to get into the hangar?
Yeah, it would be running to his right and then lapping around into the mouth of the hangar, which is currently completely open. You saw it as you were approaching.
You mentioned some of the creatures were going through windows. How high up are those windows?
Windows would be about 2 stories up. There are stacks of supplies that lead up to them. With Crow's reflex, he could get up relatively easily.
Okay, yeah. If I could like parkour my way up to a window, I might try to do that.
Yep, this would bring you rather close to some of the mud creatures, though.
How big are these?
So, again, I'm going to try to call them mud snakes to be consistent, because that's kind of what they look like. Imagine almost lamprey-like, no visible eyes, weird shifting jaws, and kind of wriggly, slug-shaped bodies, but longer and much stronger and quicker. Each of these would be like roughly this... I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. That's not like super super obscure. Oh, it's the size of a rolled-up piece of flooring, right? What's a good analogy? They would each be about 8 feet-ish long, but wide, right? So like plus of a foot wide.
Creepy. Giant tapeworms or something.
Exactly, yeah. We'll use lamprey. That's probably the closest.
All right. As I approach him, I'll just shoot and clear the way.
Yep. As
Two
you are
shots each, at
approaching,
least.
there are 2 that are in kind of your immediate path. Your first 2 shots hit one of them, and like its oozy body spatters everywhere. You can see that it kind of splits down the middle as it does so, and its head, rather than like the tail part, just kind of melts into mud into the ground, but the head changes shape slightly, sprouts wings from the back, and leaps towards you almost like a grasshopper, with its mouth like wildly arching open, like revealing extra upon extra sets of teeth below.
So kind of drop back, drop my gun down low to take an upward shot, and drawing my Bowie knife in my left.
Absolutely. The shot sinks into its jaws and more mud spatters out, but it does not seem to completely do the trick. As it starts to fall, like coast over your head, you can see that maybe not wings is the right word, but with the new like small springy limbs it's evolved spontaneously, it seems to like twist in midair to drop down towards you, almost like it just plummets down face first, like an open bear trap towards your face.
So that's what the Bowie knife is for. Just trying to.
Yep. You slam it into the side of the thing and like cut its oozy body wide open. You're spattered with mud as it melts into nothingness around you.
Gross.
The other one that is in like relevant vicinity was most of the way through the window, but as this is happening, it turns around. You can see rather than turning around, its head part, which is most of the way through the window, shifts seamlessly and blooms out of its tail part. So it just kind of swaps sides of where its head and tail are positioned on its body.
Gross. Let's see. How many shots have I taken? Probably at least 3. So
I heard 3.
Yeah. So empty the rest of the chambers, and then start reloading.
Yep. As you blast 3 right, I'm guessing towards its mouth, yeah?
Yeah.
As you blast the 3 into its mouth, the front of its body all but melts. But this time, it's the back end of the body that sprouts the jaws anew, as well as the leaping limbs that launch it towards you this time.
Yeah. So diving to the side, trying to reload as I'm going.
Yep. You've managed to get like 2 shots back in your chamber as this thing leaps at you.
Let's start with that.
Yep.
Snap it shut. Pow!
2 go into its side, and it melts to nothingness, leaving an oozy pile on the ground.
Teeth everything, start running.
Yep. Are you climbing up through the window?
Yep.
All right. Ari, what do you got for me?
Okay, here's what I got. This is kind of a shitty drawing. You probably can't see it, but what it's supposed to be, it's iron, titanium, and aluminum. Like those like Looney Tunes animals.
Yeah.
It's like that. And then he combined those 3 symbols because those are like real strong metals. He combined them together into another animal. It's basically it's like a little drawing of an animal with iron, aluminum, and titanium all mixed together.
Can you pull the camera back for a moment so I can see it a little better?
Sorry,
Okay,
it's
yeah,
not
no
a gun.
problem. I do see what you were going for. Thank you for showing.
Yeah.
You can flip the camera back around if you want. Is there any sort of additional thing that he is doing as he is drawing this out? Like any other paired action, incantation, whatever? Not mandatory, but I want to hear if so.
He is also, as he's doing it and driving, he is going to sing, "Oh, mighty vehicle, be a little bit stronger. This would really help us to get through the fence." You know.
That is so Wraith.
He's trying to draw and drive at the same time. Liv reaches over and like steadies the wheel.
Bingo.
He is going. He is
Liv
going
just
to.
casually like drives.
Yeah. As when Olivia does this, he's going to go, "Thank you, Olivia." It makes sense.
And at this point, there is an almighty crash. You guys plow through the chain link fence. The windscreen would 100% have cracked. However, Wraith's rune holds, and you guys mash your way through the chain link, like blasting out the bottom of it in the process, and skid onto the hangar ground. To your left is the mouth of the hangar, like you have to loop around the corner. And in front of you, you can see the tail end of Crow as he disappears through a second-story window with the spattered remains of chthonic enemies around him. Olivia, you have a thing?
The windshield shatter and go inwards so that we get hit with glass, or does it just spider web?
It just spider webs. Wraith's rune has held.
Sweet.
Yup. That would have been a capital B, capital P, big problem. Immediate follow-ups as the two of you drive through. Are you going to exit the vehicle or stay driving?
Liv
Liv first.
Tells Wraith to take the wheel and stop drawing for a second.
Yep.
Then leans back in her seat, kicks out the spiderweb steering wheel, or like
windscreen, yeah.
It's already compromised, so like she just kicks it out.
Yep.
Nice.
So that they can keep driving.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, Rick does that.
Problem solved.
Or what Rick is gonna do? He's gonna go, Olivia, could you take the wheel? He's gonna like shift from where he is to the other side of the seat, you know, and she's gonna go like underneath him, you know, so she can drive and he can keep like drawing, you know.
Will Olivia take the wheel after kicking this out when he prompts?
Yep.
Excellent. And where is she driving towards? Is she driving towards the open front of the hangar or behind the hangar?
She's gonna drive to the back of the hangar.
Okay. Turning the wheel, she starts to drive off. This vehicle does not have the greatest acceleration, but once it starts going, it has some steam behind it. As she does so, she would see some of those eerie mud lampreys, like pouring down the sides of the hangar and falling onto the ground with awful splatting noises. A few of them kind of flare their strange jaws towards your vehicle, but turns out that off-road tires are good against mud lampreys, and you can just spatter them to the ground as you drive past.
Would be aiming for them.
Yeah, I had
specifically.
a couple like little road bumps as you go along. Meanwhile, Wraith, what would you be doing?
Wraith would be tidying up his rune, completing it, making it look a little nicer, making sure it like does what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
And he's gonna go, all right, hopefully this works. He's gonna tap it.
And there is a gentle thrumming noise. And the front of the vehicle, the hood and the bumper, get a thin sheen over the top of them. Now, before we go further, Crow, having pushed your way in through the window, you find yourself atop a high scaffolding on inside of the hangar. You're again amongst many supplies, though it's like quite easy to push through them. You have a full view of the room, and the room is chaos. Inside, you can see the ground has ruptured open. A mud hydra the size of a small building has emerged, and its huge jaws are ripping apart planes and smashing out parts of the building, while at the same time, anytime it is badly damaged, the parts of it that are hurt fall apart into new enemies. The enemies take the form of those awful lamprey things that I was describing earlier, but also other forms as well. Strange, hulking, almost humanoids that slide along the ground like a slug. Or in another case, what almost looks like a great shark or whale with rotating jaws that swims through the earth. Amidst all of this, there are dozens of soldiers and also a small number of Anverstad that are fighting valiantly, blasting away with modern rifles. A few of them have even circled around or are trying to circle around their jets to fire its missiles on the ground, but the great creature's jaws are holding it back, the big Hydra jaws. The Anverstad are, unsurprisingly, the ones doing the majority of the work, many of them literally atop the Hydra and hewing away at it with blades made of light while they shoot their rifles away at it as well. Actions you'd like to take upon observing this situation?
My first immediate question, I guess, is, so supplies. When you say supplies, what kind of supplies?
These are airplane hangar style supplies. So there's spare plates for the different planes. There look to be maybe some munitions crates nearby as well. Things like parachutes, no uniforms. Those were all used up, unsurprisingly. But I'd say the one that would probably draw Crow's eye the most would be a couple of large crates nearby that are labeled munitions and danger.
Yeah, let's go check that out.
I had just had a feeling that's kind of what you were going for. And
Bowie knife, like pop the crate open.
Yeah, I'm popping it open. Missiles, like ready to go. Not Sidewinder, of course, but in that same vein of like seeker missiles.
What can I do with that? I'm going to think about that for a moment.
Sure. As you would be doing so, however, the scaffolding that you are on shutters. And you can see that one of the lampreys has burst in through a window somewhat nearby and is like past a couple of crates from where you are, shunting things off of the side as it kind of slipperily makes its way towards you, just making awful guttural muddy noises as it does.
Question about this missile in front of me. How big is it?
It's a big boy. It's almost the size of you.
Tough. Okay, before this thing gets too close, I just want to like try and lift it up. How heavy is it? I'm imagining pretty heavy.
What is your might stat?
Yeah, baseline.
Baseline. You can lift it, but it would take literally all of your focus and strength to do so.
How is it oriented in relation to the creature? The main creature.
It is facing out into the hangar, so if you were able to turn it 90 degrees, you could point it towards the creature.
All right. Well, attention back to oncoming enemy, pretty much ready, revolver out, ready to start blasting.
You currently do not have a sight line to it. It is pushing its way between crates, and while it is large, its body is low.
Is it near any munitions crate?
Yes, you can see it is actually passing by a couple of the other missile crates.
Yeah, well, this is going to be dangerous, but I'm going to take out Bad Penny and fling it towards it and trick shot off of it into a munitions crate, hoping it's going to explode.
Sure. Luck stat?
Baseline. Okay,
cool. In that case, as you hear the ping of Bad Penny in the air, pink, would you mind reminding us of your perk for Bad Penny?
So, let me read it out here. Hex shot. When using Bad Penny to trick shot, I may pitch a minor magical effect to occur after bouncing.
Do you want to?
Utilizing existing magic. So I guess no magic in this area that I'm keying off of, I don't think. So mainly just hoping that something will explode.
Nice. And as you do so, there's the ping, there's the pop, there's a slight tinkling sound, and then there is a sudden wild roar. The next thing Crow realizes, he is soaring through the air, and his ears are completely blown out. Like, he can hear nothing but a faint high-pitched beeping and a dull kind of scraping noise as he goes flying through the air. He is completely disoriented by the blast. What would he like to try to do in midair?
Try and tuck and roll, I guess, and like...
Sure.
Not land on my neck.
Yeah, your reflex is 2. Resilience?
One.
Nice. Okay, thank God. As you go sailing, you tuck your body in and can start to reorient yourself in midair, and you slam back first into some sort of like maybe wooden pallet or something like that. It crumples behind you, and you lay completely dazed on the ground. Anything Crow would like to do in this state?
Just reflect on what a bad idea that was.
After doing so, anything else you'd like to try to do?
Mainly just reorient myself. How much damage did this do? Is anything still coming for me?
Okay, your vision is blurred, but you can, at least your hands can start to feel around your body. First thing that you note, you have a pretty serious head bleeder. Second of all, it doesn't like, you don't feel like your skull's been compromised, but you are bleeding from the head, substantially. Second of all, your entire back and neck are really, really sore. You don't, definitely not a spine snap, right? But no fun. Third of all, and most worryingly, you're deaf. You cannot hear a thing.
Well, shit.
As
That's gonna be a problem.
As Crow starts to kind of stagger up to his feet, he realizes that he's been bodily flung, like, not halfway across, it's a hangar, right? But he's been flung a pretty substantial distance, and actually crash landed amongst a bunch of other supply pallets. The only thing that spared him of a back-to-back meeting with the concrete of the floor. However, he is substantially closer to the Great Mud Hydra, as well as being closer to some of the spawnlings that are bursting off of it from where it is being damaged. As he is reorienting himself, the closest ones to these, as per usual, there are lampreys all around, and there are the soldiers like blasting away at it, the mortal ones in particular, as the Anverstad are fighting their way atop the Hydra. But there's also that great shark thing, again. It's almost like you know what you've heard Charybdis from Greek mythology, right? Imagine a Charybdis shark emerging from the ground and eating the concrete, leaving only mud in its wake as it does. And it's the size of a tank, too.
Well, most immediate threats, I'm guessing, are like the Mudmen.
Most immediate threats right now would be the lampreys. Not only are they the ones that are most numerous, but they're also the ones that seem to care most about attacking small fry.
And the big thing is pretty close now, though.
Yeah, you're reasonably close to kind of where the Hydra is emerging from the ground.
Well, I think I'm going to draw my Bowie knife.
Yep.
Revolver in the other hand.
Your revolver is out of your hand. It was blasted from your hand when you were thrown.
No. Well, revolver in my right hand, or sorry, Bowie knife in my right hand for the moment, and ready to start fending off some things.
As you look around dazedly, you cannot hear them coming, but you can see them coming. You can see, again, a rustling in the pallets as things are pushed aside as one of the lampreys squirms across the floor towards you.
Yep. Try and time as it gets close enough and then behead it.
Plunging your knife down in, and this time, as per usual, part of its body melts away, but then the other part turns into the smaller version with the extra jaws and the springing legs that then leaps up at you again.
Just like mincing as fast as possible.
And as this thing jumps at your face, hacking it apart, you can feel it ravaging your hand and your arm, and you manage to kill this one as well, but now you're bleeding profusely from like half a dozen small to medium cuts along your hand and forearm.
Uh-oh, that's not good. Look around.
A couple soldiers nearby who are trying to shoot at the Charybdis shark. One of them even has brought out a grenade launcher, though they're not actually shooting it yet.
I'm gonna run toward the soldiers.
Yep, absolutely. As you were doing so, jumping back over to Liv and Wraith. Hitting a couple lamprey speed bumps along the way, you whip your way around the back side of the hangar. As you are doing so, Wraith has just completed his little strength rune thing on this vehicle. And you can see that the back of the hangar has clearly like civilian entrances, and it has some of those big like loading dock style garage doors, but almost a quarter of it has just been blown away as the great mud hydra's body writhes partially out from this side of the structure as well. You can see that there are soldiers on this side that are trying to shoot at it. They've even turned some of the small artillery pieces from the fortifications to blast in towards the hangar. But of course, whenever they damage the hydra, the pieces of it that fall off each become enemies of themselves. Actions you'd like to take as you roar around the corner towards the back of the hangar.
2 questions.
Yep.
Actually, 1 question. You answered 1. Do we have eyes on Helise?
Helise, now that you're looking about, yes, she jumped on the back of the vehicle. So she is not like comfy, right? But she is like, if you imagine this like an oversized golf cart, she is on the place where you would store the clubs.
Okay. Can I make a luck pitch?
Let's hear it.
Can there be an airplane with guns on it near me?
Okay, luck stat?
+2.
+2. Okay. What you would see on this side of the hangar, this is not the runway side of the hangar. This is like the access side of the hangar for the rest of the base. But through one of those open loading docks on this side, you can see that there is a jet stationed. This jet has not yet been hit by any enemies. However, it does still have the like docking material on it. You know how planes are like brought into position by small vehicles and stuff like that? It still has some of those kind of hooked up to it. It is armed though. You can see the missiles off either side of it.
Okay. She looks to Wraith and says, Wraith, please tell me you have a book on how to undock an airplane.
Wraith looked at his book bag and goes, yes, I do. He whips out a book. I don't know what the title would be, but it would be on undocking the airplane and all that jazz.
We'll say I think fighter jet runway maintenance seems appropriate here.
Yeah. And Wraith is gonna go toward it. He's gonna unhook the thing. Actually, is the jet running?
The jet is not running, and so the tug that it's hooked up to would be the only way it could be moved.
Okay.
So I'm guessing Liv would like drive over and then Wraith could hop out. But
yeah.
Liv, do you have a follow up while you're driving over to drop him off?
Okay, so Liv drives over to drop him off, and are there keys to the jet somewhere?
Jets don't have keys. They're not. They're definitely not.
No, I went to an aerospace school, and I don't know how planes work.
Yeah. Yeah. But in this sense, I get what you're going for, right? And so in this case, as you're like looking around, the cockpit to it is closed. And while Liv does not exactly know how to get in, you do have double plus to luck.
Can she just push buttons?
Like just push buttons and see what happens.
Can I luck pitch that Wraith would know how to fly a jet and get in and all that stuff?
Since you have that book, I will say that when you were speed reading, you would have incidentally seen how to do so. That sounds to me to be reasonable.
Yeah. Wraith is going to go over there, go to the cockpit. Assume there's like a manual opening thing.
In this case, it's actually opened through the tug that it is attached to. Hence why your book would give you that information.
Okay, he's gonna go there, fiddle with the tug, and click a button, and it's gonna open the hatch thing.
Yeah, so literally Olivia would be like halfway up, about to press buttons, and would just pop open for her. Bink.
Nice.
So Liv would climb in.
Yep. Hauling her way
Can I
inside.
join her? Can it be a 2-seater?
You know what? The two of you have 2 luck. I'm all right with a 2-seater here.
Sweet, that's great.
Yep. As you were climbing up, Elise yells up, "Where should I go?" She's hopped into the driver's seat of the little mini truck you guys drove up here.
Wraith is gonna shout, "Anywhere but here!"
She starts to back the vehicle up. Liv, since you were up first, you would be in the main pilot seat, whereas Wraith would be in the co-pilot seat behind.
Could we swap? Because I would assume Wraith would have more knowledge about jets than Olivia. Well, what's Olivia's background? That'll help me.
Liv's an art teacher who backpacked around for a long time, so she's probably slept with the pilot. I don't know that she's ever been in a plane.
Okay, I'm gonna assume Wraith gets in front because he is
in this case,
very, very intelligent.
Since Liv got there first, what would Wraith say? Would he be like, "Can you let me in?" What would he say?
Wraith would say, "I know you're a librarian like myself, but I'm not sure you would be familiar with a jet like this."
Wanderer.
Yeah, she's a wanderer.
I know you are a wanderer, but I'm not sure you would be familiar with a jet like this. I have had many past lives and much experience.
Looks like, just let me point and shoot.
All right.
Is he hopping into the co-pilot seat?
I'll shoot.
Yep.
All right. It's not difficult.
As Wraith slides into the co-pilot seat, what would the two of you like to do? I'm guessing, so Liv has no frickin' clue what's going on within this thing. There's a whole lot of stuff. There's the main controls, buttons frickin' everywhere. Thing is super duper cramped. Immediate things that she wants to try.
She's hoping Wraith can turn on the plane.
Yep. Wraith,
Wraith can. Let's just say that this plane, for whatever reason, like most planes, like the front is where all the controls are. Well, this one, they're both duplicates.
I'm actually quite okay with that for this Tuesday. Would you mind refocusing your camera, by the way?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And so in this case, would Wraith like to go about turning on the plane?
Yeah, Wraith is going to do the sequence.
Yep. You guys hear a gentle hum and then like a deep bellow within the guts of the plane as it starts to fire up. As it does so, Liv would see from above, because you guys are kind of close to the edge. The roof near her has been somewhat compromised because you guys are just inside of the hangar, and you can see one of the great muddy chthonic lamprey things starting to push its way through pretty much directly above where you guys are. The cockpit is still open.
She's gonna reach up and pull it shut.
And as she does so,
Wraith is also going to help do that.
Yep, he would see her hand move up, and clearly this thing is not meant to be closed manually, but it does seem to have some sort of override that lets you do it. And as you do so, the lamprey falls with a heavy, wet thud on top of the cockpit. You see its awful, multi-jawed mouth press against the glass as it, and you can just see into the toothy maw of it as it tries to get through the glass towards the two of you.
It's already shut. Damn it. Can Wraith use could I do a manifestation of mystical power that he puts it on the jet, so it has a sort of a electrical shield, something to get that lamprey off the jet?
Oh, I see what you mean. You're trying to zap the lamprey off with something that manifests around the edge. Okay, that's cool. Exactly. Where would that be coming from? I mean, you have some theming through your staff and through your rune powers and stuff. So tell me a little bit about where these powers would be stemming from.
Could it come from the electrical energy of the jet itself? This is already here.
That makes sense, but how would Wraith kind of route that power?
He would basically take both of his hands or one of his hands and just sort of concentrate on the electrical energy, its power, its flow, and it would it would jolt through his body, and then he could pass it through wherever he needed it to go.
Yeah, okay.
He kind of acted like a conduit.
In that case, Wraith's hair would go on end as electricity would course through him, and like a little bit like smoke would go off the strands of his hair as he does so. But with a sudden like snapping noise, you can see that the lamprey pops off of the cockpit and goes sliding off the side. You can see that its teeth were actually starting to carve their way through the ultra reinforced glass. Follow-ups from
Wraith
Liv.
is gonna look at this and go, "Lucky us."
I'm gonna pitch that Liv at one point did date a pilot casually
Yeah.
who took her flying on various occasions.
Yep.
And like while she was not flying, he would have her do dumb little things like turn on the windshield wipers.
Aha, I see what you mean.
So she does recognize plain windshield wipers and uses them.
Sure, I'm alright with that. And as you are cleaning off the windscreen, we're going to jump back over to Crow. As
right.
Crow is moving over towards the soldiers, he notices that he is walking with a substantial limp. He feels that even though his back is sore, the greatest pain that he has is in his like femur area. He feels like he may have a fracture or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna limp as fast as I can, probably shout and turn like, "Hey, hey!"
As you do so, some of the soldiers notice. They quickly do hand signals to each other, provide covering fire, and one of them rushes over to you. As he does so, unslinging a backpack. He yells something to you. You can hear nothing. And you can see that he has on a heavy helmet, and so you can't read his lips either.
Point at my ears like, I can't hear shit.
He nods and raises a hand and gives like this, and then gestures for you to lay down.
No. And I'm pointing toward the soldiers, and what I want to be moving towards is the one with the grenade launcher.
Yeah, absolutely. As you do so, the man pops open the visor of his helmet and says to you loudly, you still can't hear him, but you can read his lips, "What are you doing here, civilian?"
Killing monsters!
And he says, "Are you sure you're quite proficient at that?"
Give me that gun. I'll show you.
And it's a testament to the times that this trained professional soldier actually gives a nod and gestures for you to come with him. He puts an arm under your armpits and kind of like bodily hauls you over, quickly tapping the guy with the grenade launcher and speaking with him with a couple of quick hand signals. The guy with the grenade launcher, you can see like very faintly through his visor, looks quite skeptical about this, but reluctantly passes the grenade launcher over towards Crow.
Now watch this.
It's heavy, it's cumbersome, but he can figure out how to get it onto his shoulder, and his hands quickly find the grooves of the handholds and the trigger.
All right. Yeah. Don't try this at home, kids. And I'm going to fling it up to cock it as my paired action to start a shootout.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice.
And where are you firing?
The main mud monster, an orifice if it's got one.
Yep.
Oh, so good.
Grenades start soaring out of this, and you blast the Charybdis shark into oblivion with its body turning into lampreys. A few of those are caught in the crossfire. And then turning to the Hydra monster, you bring down one of its necks with a couple other shots. As you do so, however, all of the blasting has drawn the attention of another of the Hydra's heads. This thing, to give you an idea, is like the head alone is and the neck behind it is the size and the circumference of the main body of like a jumbo jet. And as such, this huge neck starts to turn in the air towards you, its eyeless head yawning open into a great void-like maw. The other soldiers immediately start to hit defensive maneuvers to try to hit the deck and get out of the way of the oncoming jaws. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna like throw myself onto my back and continue shooting straight into it.
1, 2, 3, 4 grenades fly up into it. and you can see explosions rattling down its body. Its jaws start to fall apart, and as it starts to fall around you, you destroy the neck and are surrounded by dozens of the lampreys.
Matt with the butt of this thing if I can.
As you do so, bullets start whipping around you as the soldiers try to get them off of you, but another lamprey tackles you from the back and slams you into the ground again, pinning the grenade launcher underneath you.
I'm just going to start shouting out for Karst.
Yep. As you are yelling, you feel a horrible pain as one of their jaws slams into your right shoulder blade and begins to rip out your shoulder blade with its suction-like jaws.
Oh God, nasty.
Yeah, I don't know if I have my Bowie knife, but if I do, I'm gonna grab it and stab at anything nearby.
The Bowie knife is again trapped because of the way it has pinned you.
Crap.
However, as Crow is screaming in agony with the grenade launcher trapped underneath him, yelling out Karst's name, let's jump back over to Liv and Wraith in the jet.
Let's say we got our jet going.
The jet is on. It is not moving. It's still attached to the tug, but it is on.
Okay. Let's like get it moving. You know. I think that's
it can't move. It's attached to the tug. Yeah. Someone needs to go be in the tug.
Yeah, the tug is the only way it can move in this. Once it's like tethered to the tug, it needs to be attached to it. Like if you try to move it, it will be like driving a car with like a 1-ton weight in the engine area.
Wraith is going to go. Liv, wait a little moment. He's gonna open the hatch.
Yep.
Jump out, run real. He's gonna be running, and he's gonna go to the tug and click the button to unhook the little chain or whatever.
As he's doing the unhooking mechanism, it's like a coupler that attaches to the front leg of the jet. He hears another wet splat as a lamprey falls next to the tug and turns towards him.
I got my staff, right? I'm gonna heat it up, and then once it gets nice and hot, I'm gonna chuck it at it.
And as you heat up the staff and launch it, the lamprey leaps for the staff and swallows it whole, before recoiling and starting to like hack up mud and bile as it tries to regurgitate the hot staff.
That's amazing.
But you've unhooked the tug. Are you going to climb back up?
Yeah, I'm going back up.
While Wraith is climbing, Liv, what do you want to do?
Liv, finds, can Liv take an action before Wraith gets out of the jet?
Yes, that's fine.
Liv says, Wraith, I need a manual that tells me what these buttons do.
Wraith goes into his book bag, goes, here you go, whoop, hands it to her. Oh, he's also going to give her his glasses so she can speed read, because I know she doesn't have those.
In that case, that would be just before Wraith jumps down, leaving Liv with a jet piloting manual and a pair of glasses.
So, Liv has some idea what these do because her best friend is Serena, so she has some idea of what a librarian's gear does.
Yep.
So she puts on the glasses and speed reads the book.
And as she's doing so, the sensation of the knowledge flooding into her would be very unusual, probably more than a little uncomfortable. But it starts to come together like a puzzle being assembled before her eyes. Which buttons turn on which stages of the engine? How you can actually get the engine into coasting mode, and then into taxi mode, and then into takeoff mode, and then into cruising mode. As well as which buttons enable which weapon systems, which buttons turn on the tracking and radar programs that are aboard, which ones allow you to ascend and descend. And so by the time Wraith starts to climb back up from the tug, I'm not going to say she's proficient, but she at least knows what buttons do.
Okay, so she hands him back the glasses and hands him the book and says thank you. And then she goes to the controls for the weapon system.
Yep.
Flips off the safeties off the guns.
Yep.
and aims it for the lamprey on the ground and just shoots it with the saw guns attached to it.
And as she does so, she would pull up, this would pull up the interface for the underslung heavy machine cannon that is underneath the jet. And as she turns it towards the lamprey on the ground and blasts, just unbelievable firepower, rips this thing a new one. It destroys it so profoundly, it can't even split into a second form like they've been doing so far. And so within like a second, this thing is vaporized.
She stops and says, and looks to Wraith. Is Wraith now in the plane?
Yes, Wraith is now in the cockpit and will have closed the cockpit unless you want otherwise, Ari. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, the cockpit's closed. You know.
Awesome. And Liv?
So Liv turns to Wraith and says, okay, one of us needs to drive and the other one's gonna shoot. Which one do you want to do?
I think I should drive. I mean, I think shooting seems to be your forte. You did pretty good with that monster.
Liv's like, great, let's go. You drive. Take us in there.
All right. Wraith is gonna do the thing, do all the taxiing and all that.
Yep.
And then take us into where Crow hopefully is, because that's what he's thinking about right now.
And as you turn inside of the hangar, Liv, Wraith, since he's in the co-pilot seat, is going off of like internal camera systems. So he's effectively using like the backup camera, so to speak, in order to like taxi this thing. But you guys aren't going fast, so it's not a big deal. You in the front see an absolutely wild sight. You see the main body of the mud hydra springing out from the ground. You see no fewer than 4 of its massive heads whipping around the room. Though you're in kind of a corner, so it hasn't targeted your area just yet. You can see a couple of those, like 2 or 3 of those larger, like humanoid monsters that aren't nearly the size of the Hydra, but still tower above anything. They're like this, even bigger than a jet. And those are kind of clustered around its body. And you see dozens, if not hundreds, of the shitty lampreys, including a pile of them on the ground that's kind of close to you and on your left.
Do I see that they're attacking soldiers?
Yes, they definitely are attacking soldiers.
So I'm gonna go in for the pile of lampreys that are attacking the soldiers.
Sure. How do you want to make sure you don't hit soldiers?
Does the plane have a targeting system?
It does for its missiles, but the machine cannon is manual.
Question: could Wraith, via the co-pilot seat, take over for the machine guns?
I'm going to say
instead of.
I'm going to say that based on what we've established about this plane thus far, the co-pilot seat would not have gun systems.
Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to figure out a way to where the bullets could be avoided, because maybe with Wraith's skill of knowing military things, he could more easily avoid it than
naturally. I'm throwing a wrench in that plan. Do you need a moment to think?
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a minute to think.
Sure. Jumping over to Crow. Crow on the ground. You feel a horrid, sickening pop as your arm is ripped off at the shoulder.
Oh,
his right arm, I'm assuming.
Yep. Crow spirals to the ground. And he can feel his heartbeat in his ears as blood pours out of him.
Wow, man, that's nasty shit. Question: Would the popping of his shoulder, would it be loud enough to where he could actually hear it, even though it's like
but he would feel it in his body, even though he can't hear it. He would. You know how you can kind of hear things in your teeth. You know what I mean? I don't know a better way to say it than that.
Yeah.
It would be like that, like sensation as it comes off.
Okay. Wow. Scene.
What would Crow like to do?
Conscious enough for a tourniquet?
He can start working on one.
Yeah. And maybe calling for a medic. Like, medic!
And as you do so, the lamprey looms over you. Your arm literally visible in its gullet. But then bullets start to rip into it. as the soldiers you were working with come rushing in, just like absolutely spraying everything nearby you to get them off of you. One of them pulls your arm out of the lamprey's mouth as it stomps the remainder of it on the ground underneath his heavy boot. And as you do so, the one with the backpack you were talking to rushes up next to you and immediately pulls open a med kit, taking out a number of heavy injections and plunging them into your body before also taking out a strange set of, like, how to describe it? Imagine, like, fist-sized diodes, plugging them into either side of your arm and then setting a strange glowing rod between them. The pain vanishes instantly. And you can see before your eyes, your stump starts to close over as a film of golden light starts to spread across it.
That's badass.
Not usually a fan of magics, but take it this time.
You hear a pop as your ears start to repair themselves, and you hear the soldier's muffled voice for the first time.
Do not worry, my friend. We will not let them take you.
Appreciate that. Not bad with that grenade launcher, huh?
I have never seen anything like that in my life.
Well, hey, you know a fella named Karst?
Cursed. Is he of my unit?
I don't know. Just heard he might be around here.
Is he a pilot?
Yeah, I think so.
He says, I have the wing commander nearby. I can bring him over.
And he's one of them. Glowy one.
Oh, he's understat.
Yeah.
He says, you rest. I'll be right back.
Alright, I'm gonna... Hopefully I still have my rifle.
You do still
which
have
should
your
been
rifle.
slung over. Just unsling that.
You see that
Have
your
that.
rifle is not in great condition, but
Dang.
it is functional at the very least.
Try and, like, be ready to hip fire that somehow.
As the man with the backpack is getting up, however, another wave of lampreys starts to push him and his unit back. He grabs under your good arm and starts to pull you away as they start to yell to each other. Your ears are still too fucked to properly make out, but they're clearly yelling tactics back and forth to each other as they try to get you away from the oncoming flood of enemies.
Yeah.
Liv, let's hear it.
Okay, so I found this jet.
You did.
Yep, you did.
Oh,
Do it.
by the wayside is gonna make the jet not do friendly fire.
Oh, that's awesome. And the best part is By the
I love
Wayside can't be combat based, and this is like explicitly not combat. Oh,
What can't be combat based?
By the Wayside cannot give an item like a violent capacity. And this is a non-violent capacity, explicitly.
It's true.
It's the
what's gonna-
opposite of a violent.
Precisely. What's going to be your paired action for this?
She's gonna like give the jet a pep talk.
Talk me through it.
She's like, okay, Jet, we are not gonna kill anyone who isn't a mud monster. We're not gonna kill anyone who isn't a mud monster. We can do this. Let's go.
And then she's just going to rip ass with this fucking machine cannon. Yeah.
Can
And it
Wraith
just goes
also
blasting out.
talk to the jet and say, Mrs. Jet, please do as Olivia asked. It would make your job much easier.
That is so Wraith to do. Just like, oh, she's talking to the jet. I may as well do so as well. And the machine cannon roars to life. Like I said, 1 second of fire from this thing, like, evaporated one of those. So how many seconds do you want to shoot this machine cannon for?
Oh, like 15.
Oh, God. And as it starts to just obliterate the area, Crow, as you are pulling back, you hear your medic say, no, no! And then, like, bullet fire surrounds the group of you. Imagine being caught in the barrel of a wave, but the wave is made of tracer rounds. The air hums with fire and metal. and the soldiers duck and cover, and you can see them just kind of wincing, waiting to be killed. But then the fire passes. The stream of bullets passes by, and they kind of like look around, like looking at their hands to see if they've been hit by something.
Crow's gonna double check himself, like, did I do that? It's like a standoff, but not.
And yeah, it actually was quite like that. And the medic, you hear him next to you whisper,
The gods are great. I can't believe we survived that.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Meanwhile, the lamprey flood that was pouring towards you has been reduced to a fine lamprey soup.
All right.
And as this happens, the medic throws on his backpack and goes sprinting off, pulling out a radio and yelling into it as he does so. The other soldiers pull in around Wraith and bring up their guns, and around Crow, and one of them gets under his armpit, and they finally finish getting him back into a safe position near the destroyed pallets that he crashed into earlier.
All right.
They post up around this, taking pot shots in towards the fire as they do so. What would Crow like to do from here?
Ask these folks, like, hey, any of y'all know Karst? Looking for Karst.
As you're asking around, you get similar responses. Oh, is he in our unit? Is he a pilot? And once you explain, they're like, oh, that's interesting. We haven't really got a chance to meet many of the Anverstad pilots before. The medic seems to know something. Maybe he'll help you. So it's kind of this basic back and forth for the moment while there are no immediate inbound threats. You can hear them radioing in saying they got wounded. You also hear one of them says,
The wounded man, he did something with the grenade launcher. I didn't even know we had that many rounds in it.
But as they are saying this, jumping back over to Wraith and Liv, after 15 seconds of fire to evaporate the lampreys coming in, you've cleared the soldiers from their immediate inbound threats. Follow-ups from here, your machine cannon is over halfway exhausted of its rounds, and you still have 4 missiles underslung on the wings. What would Wraith and Liv like to do from here? Wraith has only taxied them into a position where they can shoot. They are still kind of holed up in the corner of the hangar.
Okay, so Liv, go Wraith.
From where we are, where is the other like mud monsters? Where are they?
So the main big one, the humongous fuck off Hydra, that is pretty much dead ahead of you towards the center of the hangar. And most of the other ones are kind of clustered around it, especially the bigger humanoid ones.
Okay, here's my thinking. I don't know if Olivia's gonna go with me on this, but this is what I was thinking. I was thinking I could ram the jet into the Hydra, and we could leave, and we could just make the thing explode, and hopefully that's enough to destroy it. Maybe.
Liv says we have missiles.
That's a good point, but perhaps we could use, instead of utilizing the missiles, we could let the jet and the missiles go. You know, once the jet's inside the mud monster, it could just destroy it from the inside. Maybe more.
They
maybe
have to
more.
carry our sharpshooter. Liv could see that, right? Liv could see Crow get carried,
what's Liv's
right?
sensory?
Nothing.
In that case, all she would see is indistinct shapes of soldiers.
Okay. It looks like the soldiers are pretty wounded.
Yes.
I don't think anyone would be able to make the shot at this point. I think it's better to use the missiles.
Wraith, having heard that, go, all right. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Missiles away!
Liv lines up and shoots all 4 missiles in rapid succession.
She primes them, releases them, cocks them, and then one by one, they lance out across the room, and one by one, they blast off each of the 4 remaining heads of the Hydra. Each head, of course, disintegrates into monsters, but now without any necks that had been rupturing out of the ground, where the Hydra broke the ground now kind of bubbles down as a cauldron of shadowy mud. It's more like just a caldera, a rift in the earth, and new monsters are not actively emerging from it. I should note, your shots did send many Anverstad flying, having been all on top of the Hydra. However, you see that they catch themselves along the ground, seemingly completely unfazed by the missile fire, before setting in about the other enemies. Immediate follow-ups after this substantial set of fireworks.
Wraith gonna go, ooh, that fireworks. He's all excited. Let's see. Could we still... Well, how are there any other munitions? Are there any other missiles or weapons on the thing?
We have half a tank left of machine gun fire.
Yeah.
I think we should first... Actually... No, we should do that first. So let's first aim where there are no people and try to take out as many lampreys as we can and empty the barrel.
Yep.
And then we can use the plane as a battering ram. And you can take its takeoff speed and run through the rest.
Yes, that's a fine idea. What Wraith is once we get rid of all our ammunition, Wraith is going to Is there like a I don't know, I'm looking for like a gas pedal or something we could like make that stick so we could both lead and the jet could go flying forwards towards the thing so we're not in it.
You can take like the main like thrust control of the plane and just kind of like not tape it, right? But just kind of leave it in the foremost position.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That's what I want to do.
So you're revving the thrusters while Liv is emptying the machine gun on the remainder of the lampreys that she can see. It's still going to have plenty of enemies left over, but you'll have used up all the ammo in the process.
Yeah.
Right.
As she is doing so, Crow, back over to you. There's, amidst the bleariness of posting up and getting your shots ready, you see the streaking of the missiles and the Hydra blasted to pieces. The soldiers are shocked and start whipping around. You hear them cheering and screaming and yelling, "We got it! We got the plane live!" And as they are cheering, you can see that the machine gun of the jet rips into the like a bunch of the other monsters that are rushing towards your side of the hangar. And in the process, you can see the radio man rushing his way back. He skids up next to you and holds something out to you. You can see it's like, how to describe this? It's like a gleaming C-shaped object.
What the heck is this?
And he says, clearly in front of your face, you can read his lips, "To your ear, sir." And as you put it up against your ear, you feel in your mind a powerful voice saying to you,
"This is Holthrein, 5th Jump Command of the Anverstad units. To whom am I addressing?"
Well, name's Crow. Hello. Listen, I'm looking for a feller named Karst. You know a feller named Karst?
"Yes, Karst is a pilot and jumpman under my retinue."
Oh, excellent. Well, where might you be right now?
he says,
"We are currently locked in combat versus the forces of Inth within the hangar."
Oh, you're in the hangar. Well, that's great. I'm here too. The call was coming from inside the house. Whereabouts in the hangar would you be?
he says,
"Location currently difficult to ascertain. We are locked deep in combat."
Well, all right. Listen, I'll come down to your rescue then. And yeah, look about the hangar. Do I see any pockets of violence happening?
oh, there's plenty of pockets. Most substantially towards the mouth of the hangar, where most of the planes have been compromised, you can see that there is a contingent of Anverstad that are ripping their way through the onrush of Inth, trying to protect some of the jets that aren't yet completely destroyed.
All right.
And what is the extent of my injuries at the moment?
Right now, you are completely down a right arm. However, your cracked femur is back in shape, and your ears, while they're not great, are at least working. You're also no longer in crippling pain.
All right, that's good. Can I find even just like a pallet or something to like got my rifle lined up and just like line up shots and just
And as you do so, you hear in your mind again, "For what reason have I been given contact to you?"
well, it's very important. Get in touch with Karst. And so I'm gonna save y'all. Hold on 1 second.
And as you are saying this, the voice booms back, "Should we move towards your position?"
Yeah. You do that.
And as you do so, you can see the group of Anverstad start to push through the crowd in your direction. Meanwhile, Wraith and Liv. Liv has used up the last of the machine gun rounds, having ripped through dozens upon dozens of chthonic enemies in the process. Wraith has primed the thrusters, and I don't know if planes actually work like this, but I'm going to say this one does. It's currently in neutral, even though the engine is fully gunned and ready.
Liv's gonna bail.
Yep. Liv starts to open the cockpit and climb out.
Wraith is gonna push some buttons to make sure it goes toward the creature, and once he feels it's doing that, like it's getting to a start, he's gonna jump out. He's gonna just leave.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the last thing he does is he takes it out of neutral to start going forwards.
Yep, that's what he's doing.
With an immediate roar, it goes whipping forward. The force of it actually sends Wraith spinning to the ground. Like he didn't quite clear it all the way in time, and so he lands hard on the concrete. His books go scattering, his glasses break on the concrete underneath him. It's not pretty, and he sprains his wrist.
Shit, fuck me. No landing for style on that one.
Meanwhile, Liv, having taken the safe way down, what does she want to do as Wraith goes crashing to the ground next to her and the jet goes rocketing off?
How many enemies are left?
Still a substantial number towards the middle of the hangar, but they are no longer getting reinforced.
Liv's gonna go get Halise and start moving them around the edge of the hangar.
Yeah.
Towards the encamped soldiers.
Sure. So, like, rushing back down towards the chain link fence area and trying to wave her down?
Yep.
What's your vitality?
None.
You must have at least one. You're a wanderer, right?
Is it one?
I think it's probably one.
Yes, it is. It is one. Okay. Sorry.
In that case, how are you going to try to flag her down? Because she's driving around the perimeter. You can see her truck, but she's not close enough to see you.
She is going to...
Do you want to think?
Can she use a map and find a shortcut? Her map to find a shortcut.
Oh, to like where Halise is?
So like where, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And so following her map, she can quickly move her way over towards the perimeter of camp, taking easier walkways to get there at great speed, and also approaching the actual like gate of the compound rather than having to make Halise bust her way through another section of chain link.
So she's gonna get Halise. She's gonna climb in the cart next to Halise and be like, "We're gonna go, and it's gonna be scary, but you're gonna be fine. We're gonna be with soldiers. It'll be great."
Good. You found him? Is he there?
We think so.
I will take it. And she guns the truck to life. As she goes whipping off, Wraith, after Liv has absconded to you not sure where, but having crash landed, what do you want to do after presumably hauling yourself to your feet?
I wanna pick up all my books and pick up my. Are my glasses actually broken, or is the glass like kind of cracked?
Actually broken.
Oh.
You'll get him back
Wraith
after the
looks at his
mission,
glass.
but not for now. Could you recenter your camera?
Oh, yeah. Wraith is gonna pick up all his books. He's gonna look at his glasses, going, broken again. All right. He's just gonna get all his books. Yeah. Where is Crow in relation to Wraith?
What's your sensory?
I have 0.
Yeah, in that case, you don't have any fucking clue. For all you know, Crow is in, like, the other side of the world.
Is there any soldiers nearby?
Yes, there are.
He is gonna flag one down. Oh man, I'm looking for a person. His name is Crow. He is similar to myself.
And he says, Crow, that is a foreign name. He is foreign?
Yes. He is good with weapons, guns.
He says,
You know?
And you think he is inside? Is he inside of the hangar?
Yes. I'm trying to find him. I am a friend of his.
Of course, I am very
Or
sorry.
he is a colleague of mine.
We will rescue him. I will radio in. Follow me.
Wraith falls.
And as he goes rushing in, you hear him chattering on his radio. And as you guys push through the broken section of the hangar to get in, with him firing occasionally against stray lampreys, he looks over his shoulder and says,
Good news. Your man is alive. We will go towards him now, though he is gravely injured.
That's all right. I got all sorts of tools with me that can help him out.
and you guys make your way through the hangar, although you are forced heavily to, like, go around, like, take the long way around because of the substantial number of enemies there are still left in here. You can see many pockets of fighting, but you push over towards the side of the hangar closest to where you guys entered the hangar field in the first place. In the meantime, Liv is driving back up towards that exact same location. How is she going to find where in the hangar to go?
The soldier encampment wouldn't be on the map, would it?
Like
How
the
dynamic is the
like
map?
the specific location that they posted up.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I see. So the map, while it is reasonably dynamic, it is not Warzone dynamic. At least not in this case, I will make the call, because this is like a very situational posting up. They're hanging out amid some destroyed pallets and using whatever they can for protection.
She's gonna go in the side of the hangar.
Yep.
Like the edge of the hangar, and start driving around the edge is what
Yeah.
she's gonna tell Luis to do.
Yeah, and what's she going to be looking for?
She's gonna look for a group of soldiers.
Oh, yeah. She sees a couple. She sees actually 2 or 3 different groups.
Can she pick one with her +2 luck stat?
What would be some vague factors, because they're all pretty indistinct looking, what would be some general factors that might push your decision one way or another?
The one that looks like it has other people coming towards it.
That is a great metric. Yes, you can pick that one. And you can point to Elise to start driving towards it. Crow, in the meantime, with rifle support, you provided covering fire for the oncoming group of Anverstad, who have now met up with you and your small group of soldiers on the side of the hangar with your backs to the wall. They reach you and begin immediately forming a far more robust perimeter around you, completely obliterating enemies that come close, because those enemies are not in substantial enough number yet to overwhelm them. Given that they're no longer being reinforced, they are less of a solid wall and more of an awful waist-deep flood. Now, as the Anverstad are coming in, you can see one among them, like, heavily armored. He has an interesting combination. He has, like, medieval style armor and then, like, heavy modern assault rifles. And is
That sounds badass.
yeah, and gleaming and glowing incandescently. And he comes towards you, and you can feel his booming voice echoing from him.
Why have you called me Crow, man from foreign lands?
You cursed?
He says,
No, I am his commander, Halfthran. I can give him orders to speak to you if needed, but I wish to know the reason for it first.
Well, we were sent here to find him.
By whom? Is he requiring discipline?
No, nothing like that. He just needs to have an important meeting.
you can see a familiar... Actually, it wouldn't be familiar to you. Wraith, who's approaching the area, would see a familiar truck driving in towards the same group that he is being brought towards. And Crow would see Wraith, who, while like a little disheveled, would be, and with his hair sticking on end, still slightly smoldering from that electric stunt, would still be visible and recognizable from here. As you do so, Hulfthryne nods and takes a couple steps back, and then another of the Anverstad turns around. He's smaller, though still like magnified 10% bigger than a human should be, and is wearing less substantial and imposing clothing. Instead, more modern military uniform, incandescentized to match his weaponry and his body. He says,
Why have you called me? For what reason?
So, yeah, probably recognizing Karst at this point. Listen, let's come have a chat. Away from everyone's private conversation.
I am bound by duty and am called to war.
Yes, and that is very important, and you will certainly be getting on with that. We just gotta have a quick conversation over here, and like pointing in Wraith's general direction.
Wraith, Liv, and Liv alongside Hilise reach Crow at almost the exact same time, as he kind of saunters over one-armedly alongside this Anverstad. Now that Wraith and Liv are closer, they can actually make out Karst's features recognizable from whatever picture they were shown at Enclave HQ, even though, unless you knew it was him, it would be kind of impossible to tell because of how gleaming and incandescent he is. However, Liv would feel Hilise like almost leaping out of the vehicle before it has come to a stop. But she manages to slam on the brakes and come to a skidding halt before scrambling out of the truck. Actions from Wraith and Liv.
Wraith is gonna go to Detour. Where is Detour's arm?
Or Crow's arm? You have no idea where Crow's arm is.
Shit. Wraith is gonna go. Oh dear, your arm's all gone. This will not do. It's not bleeding, is it?
Not anymore.
Right now, yeah, it's covered in like a golden layer that has stopped the bleeding.
As I talk to him, can Wraith can Crow shout so I know that he's deaf? Because Wraith doesn't know that he's deaf.
Yeah, his hearing came back somewhat, but it's still not great. So probably talking louder than normal, like, "Howdy, Wraith, and we got Elise here." Then Seeker coming. Oh, good, and try and like just push Karst forward towards her.
Okay. What Wraith is gonna do? He's gonna get. This is probably dumb, but I want to do it anyway. I'm gonna give Pro a nostrum to fix his ears. You know.
Yeah.
And the paired action is he's gonna feel like a little dizzy. You know.
Oh, that's gonna be the downside, is some like vertigo.
Yeah.
Will Crow take this strange concoction pushed into his arm?
What is this, whiskey?
Glug. And Liv,
so gross.
actions from you as Wraith and Crow are talking and convening.
Liv is putting the car in park.
Yep. Good idea. Thank you for remembering.
Just being safe. I was like, how am I the safe one?
Yep.
And then she's gonna leave the keys in to leave it running. But she's gonna follow Hilise out and make sure that Hilise and Karst are like okay and doing their thing.
Yep. Hilise runs over and bodily flings herself into Karst's arms. You can see that like burns develop on her arms as she does so because of his incandescent heat, but she still clings to him tightly. And Karst looks surprised and kind of stoic for a moment, but then you can see that his gleaming white eyes widen for a second, and the incandescent aura drops from his face for a moment, and you can see through the reborn mask a flash of the actual man, stunned. The incandescence dims from him, and he goes from being kind of white hot to being more of like a low red-orange. And he kind of almost clumsily puts his oversized arms around Helisa's back, and you hear him say, "I'm so sorry I never said goodbye." And she just kind of shakes her head pressed up inside of his chest. You can see as she shakes her head there's like bright burns on her nose from where she first ran into him as he was white hot. But she murmurs something back into him, which only Crow, with his now restored hearing, can hear, which is, "I would have never forgiven you, but now I do." And you all feel your Enclave badges ping. Final actions.
This is the worst whiskey ever. Tap.
Question: where is that jet? Did that jet go straight toward the mud monster? I just want to know where it is.
The jet, that's actually a great point. You would have heard the jet give off a massive unbridled explosion when you, like, just after you jumped out of it, and it blew a hole out the other side of the hangar, leaving a swath of destruction in its path.
Wow, that's amazing. Wraith is gonna ping out.
So yeah, Wraith would like see the like trail of destruction and the blasted open hole in the side of the hangar and be like, haha, and can ping out from there. And Liv, final actions from you.
Liv's gonna smile and ping out, just like feeling contented with herself.
And on that note, we will end the mission.
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
All right.
Poor Crow. He got his arm ripped off.
Yeah.
Ate it that time.
Detour, I was not looking forward to killing a second of your characters.
Wow, that
was close.
Oh.
But I did get to shoot out with a grenade launcher.
Shootout with grenade launcher was fucking
that was
sweet.
pretty badass.
Okay, I want to quickly go over the characters. Crow. We love Crow. Everybody loves Crow. He's fantastic. He is simultaneously cool and hilarious, and you do a great job of preserving that dynamic with great one-liners, awesome presence, and just enough levity where it is needed to make him not feel like a robot. I love him.
Nice.
I get genuinely extremely fond of the character, and you play him beautifully. But you should know that.
Thank you.
High points for me with Crow. First of all, your bargaining bit at the beginning with the shawl man was actually very fucking funny. But also, it was quite productive. You guys figured out a good bit off of that, even though it lasted longer than I thought it would. You still kind of got there in the end from two different directions. Second of all, your initial fighting versus the Lampreys was sick. Very dynamic. They posed exactly as much substantial threat as I wanted them to. I wanted these to be terrifying enemies if you were alone, but in a group, they were very manageable. You know?
Nice.
Blowing up the munitions while you were on the same, like, shelf as them was pretty fucking dangerous, but...
Bad idea.
But thank fuck you had a plus to resilience. You would have been completely out if you had not had that.
Yep, having my duster there would have been real nice.
Yep, that too. Yeah, so awesome dynamic mission from Crow. That was fantastic. Well played. Wraith. Wraith is such a funky character. He is goofy and grandiose in such a way that feels like very cohesive. I really enjoy seeing him kind of like get in over his head, and then it's because it's usually comedic, right? You usually can play it in a funny way, but then he does cool stuff too. Your rune was really sick. It also, this is an incidental thing you might not have thought of. Your rune protected Helise while she had the truck. And that was actually
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. That was actually great. I didn't know if you had thought of it, but it was really sick. I thought that once we got into it's so funny. I was like, oh, I bet Wraith will do a lot at the beginning during the info gathering. You really came into your own once we got into combat. And that, like, I just thought that you actually, you interfaced with the jet really well. And watching Wraith combo with Liv was not what I expected going into this, but the two of you actually made a great team. Like, the two characters played well with each other. Because, like...
Yeah, we did.
Wraith is very powerful, but kind of gets wrapped up in himself, and Liv kind of kept him on task. She's like, no, do this. And it was really awesome. It was a great synergy.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Liv was in teacher mode.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that you used your librarian skill set beautifully, but I think an underrated thing that you did on this mission, Ari, was the way you cataloged the tuning fork. I thought that
yeah.
was incredibly tight. It was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have it spin in midair. It's like the picture came to me perfectly. I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be able to get tons out of this. And even though it didn't end up being super relevant, you could have gone in a direction of the mission where that was actually a huge way to do the play. Reason being is that those objects were incredibly religiously significant. They were tethered to heaven, so were the spirit warriors. And so you could have maybe found a way to use those to attune to Karst and kind of draw him to you or communicate with him remotely.
Well, one of my ideas was maybe to use it to like communicate with like the gods and have them like help us out.
Yeah,
But
that was
that never came up.
Yeah.
So
another potential way to do it, but frankly, I think that the Action Man version was kind of awesome. So I'm happy it went that way.
yeah.
Lastly, Liv. This was my first time hosting for her. I'm guessing it's a pretty unusual mission for her because I threw her into a war zone.
Yeah.
But I tried to make it an unusual war zone that she would still be able to get something done in. And you did not disappoint. You did a great job getting where you needed to be. And at first I was like, please don't get defeated by them saying, no, you cannot talk directly to a god. But you found a way around it, which I'm very glad of. And your familiar face on the goddess was sick and brilliantly done. I thought that was awesome. And it gave you guys like a second angle for how to get to where Karst was. But also, it kind of pulled in another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is it kind of helped flavor some of the other things you did, like your walking stick. I was expecting you to even lean on the theming more heavily, but you ended up not needing to because of how well you synergized with Wraith. Watching the Wanderer be the one behind the fucking jet, like fighter jet weapons, was hysterically funny, and was just exceptionally cool. Nice use of your stats, by the way. Like, strong luck pitches that never overstepped 2+. I thought that was really nicely done. Am I correct in saying that this was a pretty unconventional setting for her?
Yeah, it was. I haven't played her that much yet because I have 3 characters, so I try to give them even time.
Yep.
Because, I have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that life.
Something I didn't get to go into, which Crow would have started to realize had it not been quite so Action Man, is trading clothes to the Shawman would actually make you start to lose memories. And so the thing I wanted to do, which never ended up coming up, is if Wraith had tried to get in touch with his past lives, he would be forgetting them because the chain of fabric scraps was metaphysically interpreted as his chain of past lives.
Oh.
And so when you get, do you remember how the shaman was like, ooh, this is suddenly really valuable? It's because when you sewed it together, it kind of stapled that part of your soul to it. Whereas for Crow, it was
I just thought they were fabrics.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the past life shit.
The important thing about it, as you guys started to determine, it was like, oh, is it emotional resonance? No, it's memories. So they wanted cloth that had memories attached to it.
Yeah,
and
I
so,
knew it had to be something.
Yeah, and so when Crow gave them the duster, it was like, ooh, super valuable, mine. And you would have noticed if you had tried to tap into memories for things like manifestation or stuff, I actually would have blocked it because of the memory stuff at play.
I'm really glad Liv didn't give anything except like a dumb scarf.
Yeah.
So because I fun facted that the duster was like made of a better material, did that factor into the scrap guy going, oh, this is way better?
Oh yes, it also would have made the memory theft more intense. So
it was even better.
It was a double-edged sword. Yeah, and as you saw, they were quite like literalist and fey in terms of how they would interface with questions. You actually probably could have gotten even more information out of them. But it was fun seeing Crow be like, fuck these things. Move on.
God damn. Lying.
Yeah.
I will say,
yeah.
I think the Shawman was probably one of my favorite NPCs of yours that I
really?
have yet had.
Awesome.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, they were super duper fun. I had a great time. When I was with my boys before the call, I was like practicing the voice, and my son kept saying, "What are you saying?" So.
It reminded me of Slay the Spire,
I guess, is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
I feel like there's a character that from that does kind of like.
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
So I got another question. What were the Ragmen? What were those guys doing here? What was their? Were they part of the Mud Monster or
Nope.
what?
They were a completely independent faction who heard about a local end of the world and were like, "Fuck yeah, we can get a bunch of memories for very cheap."
Okay, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, man, this is awfully suspicious. Like if the guy wasn't gonna have a scrap of shit, I would have told Crow to shoot him.
Yeah, I was
pissed
purposely trying to red herring you by making them creepy and suspicious as fuck. Like, I
also really like that Shaman kind of sounds like shaman. And
yes,
so
that
they
was
almost
another
had like
cool
a religious
idea.
overtone to them, and they were giving out religious artifacts.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
They did actually have a different name too, which I had them mutter a couple of times. But it's like a deep lore thing I didn't think you guys would like need to interface with. But I'm really glad you liked them. I was really hoping that you would have a fun time and it would give you a secondary route besides pure Action Man to do the mission. And you end up doing a bit of both. Do you guys have other questions about world building calls similar?
What about these Mud Monster things? Like, would these Mud Monster things eventually just go away or die, or would this just be perpetually the end of the world all the time?
It depends on who wins. And since Malformus asked so nicely, did you guys ever hear me in their voice say Rakshkatokshk?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the name that they had. And
Ooh, I like that.
I will say this was a completely unique setting. I have never used this setting before, but the Rakshkatokshk I have used once before, and they are insanely fun.
Yeah, pretty great.
When I got the focus word Ragman, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I know exactly. By the way, I don't know if it showed. Easiest set of focus words I've had in ever, right?
Very cohesive.
So cohesive. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I like wacky shit, but like having a nice coherent set of focus words was super pleasant. Do you guys have other questions about plot or calls? Grand. Well, I hope
Mission name.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Mission
Every
name.
Time.
Bunmasters, Ragmen, and Gods? No.
Oh my.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah. Song reference.
And it's all mud.
I feel like we're getting somewhere.
Gotta be something with the rags. I feel like rags to riches, but there were no riches here.
Rags. Oh! I got it.
Rags to Ragnarok.
Rags to Ragnarok is actually very cute. Okay, I like it.
Yeah. I got to do with that.
Yeah, Ari got there like.
Or how about this?
Yep.
I got another one. Rags to Ragnarok and mud.
I think we'll go with the concise Rags to Ragnarok. That's so.
Yeah.
Okay. As a brief side note, when I got these focus words, when I saw the focus word Ragnarok Bomb, I thought to myself, holy shit, have I ever done a polytheistic modern society before that was profoundly religious? And I don't know if I have. So thank you for that focus word, because it helped me expand my world building horizons. Because it's such a tight combo. I was like, why don't I see this all the time? Why don't we have fucking like modern Vikings just blasting people in jets? That sounds sick.
That does sound that does sound like a great setting for like a TV show or something.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things you're like, really? This isn't a thing? You know? Because it should be. Yeah, you're right.
I hope you guys had a good time on this one. I'm
always.
As always.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm so glad to hear it. And in that case, let's wrap up. Feel free to do a super quick outro in the same order we introduced ourselves, Ari, Xela, Detour, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, my name is Ari Cower, and this has been this mission. Super fun. It was great. Robbie is a great host.
Thanks, man.
I'm Xela, aka Alex. This was a great mission. Liv did a lot of stuff and got to be in a jet. That was cool.
Yep.
Yep. I've been Detour. Thankfully, Crow did not die. Just leveled up. So excited about that. Thank you both for my fellow players and our host, Robbie.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And as always, my name is Robbie Howell. Thank you so much for watching, and ciao for now.